You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? It's the Wednesday before Christmas. It's the first full day of winter, right?
It's chilly.
Oh, please stop it.
Wow, had to put a light jacket on this morning.
That's only because you had the golf cart going at, 23 miles an hour there. You had it going at max speed.
That's really what it boiled down to. I don't know if I needed it, but I felt just a little chill this morning,
Now,
David.
I want everybody to picture this now. All right. Mark lives close enough to where it is we were doing the show from, at least for now, that he can take his golf cart from his house to work. It's always been one of the dreams of his life.
Well, it's also the dream of someone that you think quite fondly of. Have you let your wife know that I'm taking the golf cart to work yet?
Well, she's now fully aware. All right. She's now fully aware. And yes, my wife's definition of making it is when I can buy her own golf cart, not like Mercedes or anything like that. Or
just a club car.
She wants a, quote, blinged out pink golf cart.
Blinged out pink golf cart.
Correct.
Well, enjoy your retirement in the Villages, David.
Exactly. With like red Crocs and beads around and Hawaiian shirts. Yes, that's apparently in my future.
I'll tell you what, when the Miami kid over there, Felipe, is shaking his head going, are you kidding me? You've gone overboard with your blinged out golf cart.
Just saying, that's her definition of we've
made it.
Well, she has that.
I know a guy that can build it for you, David. It's not going to be as expensive as you think.
Well, Mark, I got to admit, I don't think getting a golf cart in this state customized is a problem. I haven't looked into it, but I'm guessing it's not a problem.
No, it's expensive, though.
Well,
that's where having a guy can help.
Well, it's always good to have a guy.
For anything.
Yes. To fix things around the house.
Well, speaking of which, we have in our home, like I'm sure many of you have, a garage door opener that's on the side of the house. You press the code and the garage door opens. Ours is broken at this time.
Oh, that's a problem.
The wife, I don't know if she went to change the battery on it. I don't know exactly what happened. All I know is that when she pulled the battery off, the 9-volt battery along with part of the whatever came off. She took the battery and then the cover from the connection on the wall there and in the little case. She traced it on a piece of paper with a couple of arrows and wrote broken, pointing to where this piece of electronics was broken.
Okay.
As if I was going to get the wiring kit out in the back.
I was going to say.
And start fixing this.
I mean, that Michigan State degree only goes so far.
All she needed to do was put it on top of the garage door company card and say, call them, this needs to be fixed.
Right. But
with arrows saying this part's broken, I'm like, what in the who do you think you married?
Right.
Do you think that Moulton's wife's mistress is at our house in the garage right now? What the hell is going on?
I don't have a handyman. I got a guy for a lot of things, but not this. Not this. But that's where we are on this Wednesday morning. Hope everybody is, gotten the big weekend all figured out and taken care of, is my hope.
Not even close.
Ooh, wow.
You know the dilemma I've been in. The car that I bought is still not in my possession.
Still?
I'm taking a go.
Now, hold on. You're taking that because you want to. That's a thrill. Okay?
There's no other mode of transportation other than my feet for me to get from A to B.
Okay.
I could have Felipe pick me up.
All right, Fred Flintstone. But you have said many, many times that you would like it if you're driving the golf cart. So I figured you were just doing this because the thing was supposed to be here a week ago.
Correct.
And it was definitely supposed to be here yesterday.
Correct.
So still no car.
Correct.
But it has been purchased. It's agreed upon. Are you tracking it? Like, do you get
it's taken 5 days to get from Jacksonville to Tampa?
Wow. That's literally driving. Is it being towed by a golf cart? Man.
You got a point.
Miller and Moulton on this Wednesday. So how's your week of football going? Huh? 2 games on Monday, 2 games last night, and got an NFL game tomorrow. We're not even talking about the bowl games. I mean, we had a tropical smoothie bowl last night, for goodness sakes. Everybody enjoying this? Because, the NFL, I mean, something happens and it starts working. They start thinking, well, we can reconfigure our schedule. How about we play 5 days a week?
And they're on the verge of it, and they're probably liking it. I watched a little tropical smoothie bowl last night.
I'm sorry.
When I got home, it was San Diego State and Texas San Antonio. It was a fun little game.
It was.
And the reason I watched it, however, is that for those of you in the Tampa area, we're obviously by now, we're in Fort Myers, Naples. We have a great high school basketball tournament in our backyard, the City of Palms tournament. I went out last night, which is shocking in and of itself. Caught a little basketball, came home, and I'm like, great, I'll watch the fourth quarter of the 2 football games. Well, as we talked about locally, we got the Philadelphia-Washington game.
Sure.
I went to the Sunday ticket. There it is. Rams-Seahawks. Click. They wouldn't put it on. They gave me this, it's in a pay-per-view, it's late in it, we're not going to let you watch this, even though I've already paid for said event. When I would try to exit, the game would flash on for a second and a half, and then it would go back to a dark screen. And this went on for a few minutes, and then I got a little frustrated and didn't care enough about Seattle and the Rams to keep this up.
So is it because you got to the game late?
I paid for Sunday ticket in August.
You should get all the games.
So I wasn't jumping into a pay-per-view. They treated it like it was a pay-per-view boxing match, and I'm catching it in the 11th round, and they wouldn't let me turn it on. I don't know if anybody else faced a similar problem. It wasn't something worth calling and complaining, and I just put a different game on.
Well, and also, I don't think on the west coast of Florida, the whole bunch of people were clamoring for the Rams and the Seahawks.
Right, that had DirecTV, and there's a pretty small window you have to go through to get to who that is.
I mean, I'd have to think the bars had it though. I would be shocked if they didn't.
If I'm wondering if I would have just turned it on at kick,
right?
If I would have, and again, I didn't get back until after 10 o'clock, so that was just weird. So I ended up putting a little bowl game on, watched a little NBA last night. I had a full sports night. I was all fired up.
You were at a sporting event, and then you came home and you were flipping the channels. Man, oh man. I have to admit, I stayed up later than I should have, but I stayed up to watch the Lightning.
The last hockey game?
Yes. You know what I felt like? I felt like in August of 94, I watched the Mets and the Phillies because the strike was going to happen. And the Mets and the Phillies went extra innings. And it literally ended up being the last game that was played in 94 in terms of when it ended. And they were in extra innings. And I'm like, well, this is great, guys. If you want to play 17, 19, 21 innings, I'm all in. I'll watch you. And, Phillies ended up winning, 13th or something like that. But as they're into extra innings, the announcers are literally saying, well, this is it. This is it. As soon as this game's over, the strike begins. And we didn't know how long it was going to go. We didn't think that was going to be the last game of the year, but I knew it was going to be the last game for a little while. So I watched it. And that was kind of my feeling with the NHL, in which I'm like, I know this is only supposed to be a pause. It's only supposed to be a handful of days. But you got to admit, it's a little more complicated with that league because you got the whole Canada factor.
Exactly.
We can just stick it to the Raptors if we want in the NBA. We did it last year.
Right.
We can do it again.
Right. Guys, Tampa's still there for you.
Yeah.
If that didn't work out, try Buffalo. There's plenty of places you can find a gym and play basketball.
Yeah. I mean, if we have to, we can just stick it to the Raptors. That's what Adam Silver's thinking. But the NHL, it's a lot more complicated.
It definitely is. And as we pointed out, they've already said they're not going to the Olympics. They have a 3-week pause that they got to figure out what they're going to do there, right. Of which most of these buildings have been booked for at least part of that time.
Right. So somebody's going to have to sit down and figure out over the next 6 weeks what they're doing during that 18, 19-day period of time, which begins with the All-Star weekend, too. Are they going to keep it that weekend? My guess is yes.
Are they going to play it?
Right. So I watched a little Lightning last night. And when I watched, the Lightning were getting manhandled. I mean, it looked like a team who, by the way, they had no John Cooper last night behind the bench because of COVID. And it just looked like, you know how Vegas plays. They come across the red line. They put rubber on the net. I mean, that's their thing. They throw pucks at the net. That's how Vegas plays. Tampa, that's not how they play. They want higher chance.
They're far more finesse. They work the puck around. It's for basketball guy out there, it's a current NBA team versus late 90s NBA team as far as styles go.
Yeah. And so I watched, but I went to bed. I have to admit, I went to bed. It was 3-3 after 2. And I'm like, wow, the Lightning scored like 2 goals in 40-something seconds, late second to tie it up. And I was like, are they really going to steal this game? They're getting outshot 2-1. And woke up to find out, wow, they really stole this game.
Best goalie in the world, tons of talent.
Going to say.
Nice, a really nice formula for being able to do just what you talked about.
And not only that, Stammer's on a 100-point pace. And right now, he's on a pace for about 32 goals and about 101 points. Not a bad little comeback season.
No, which will get him to play one more and try to get to that 1,000 number more than likely. Hitting 900 points earlier in the week.
So that's, for a Tuesday night, you and I were taking in a lot of sports. But how's the week going for you? You've had 4 NFL games during your work week. Normally you have 1. Too much football? Too busy because it's Christmas week? Or, oh, man, I kind of like this. I could get used to this.
I've watched plays, like not game plays. You and I have talked about this for a long time. By the time we get to Monday, we're kind of footballed out.
Well, I know I am.
And with no college, that's, a couple games Saturday. I wasn't all into the Saturday game just because it was Saturday night. I kind of, there's part of me that when the college football season ends, it's like, hey, I got Saturdays back for a little bit. I can actually speak to my wife.
Right.
And she might talk back.
She might. Depends.
But the quality of these games has not been great the last 2 days.
Well, yeah, it's because a third of the guys weren't even really on the active roster not that long ago. I mean, the Ravens literally down the stretch of that Packers game had 3 guys who were playing who they picked up off the street.
I meant more the 2 Mondays and the 2 Tuesdays.
Well, but them too. I mean, the list last night in the Eagles Washington game in terms of like people being pulled up from the practice squad and what have you was absolutely staggering.
And because of that, it makes for bad football, which makes it a tough watch. So therefore, I've turned it on. It's been bad. It's really easy when there's bad football to turn it off on Monday and Tuesday. To me, David, and that's why your Ravens thing doesn't count. Because Sunday at 4:25, all I'm thinking about is watching NFL football. I don't care. It's cute. There's a nice story if it's a truck driver. But on Tuesday at 7, I don't care as much, if you know what I mean.
Got it.
That's all. So I've not done a lot with these 4 games. They've not done much for me, and I've not watched much of them.
And this was a week, for those of you that play fantasy football and are in the playoffs, man, oh man, this was a week of not a lot of scoring. In fact, I believe it is the lowest scoring week in the NFL in over 16 years. You know who one lock is, though? Cooper Kupp. So an amazing stat. Wish we had it yesterday that we could have given everybody. Cooper Kupp, if you had bet the prop over-under on Cooper Kupp this year, if you took the over in the 14 games that the Rams have played on his like catches and
Right.
yards. Yeah, he's 12-2 over. That is a stat machine right there. Cooper Kupp. Rams a winner, Eagles a winner, starting 5 coming up in about 20 minutes time. Top of the morning to you. Hope your week is going well. Thanks for spending this hump day with us, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
That last comment touched my soul. God, I'm getting destroyed in fantasy this week. And yes, I'm in the playoffs, Twitch chat. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I have Najee.
Gronk.
Gronk.
Najee Harris?
Yes. I have Najee. I have Gronk. I have Hunter Renfrow. I have Cordero Patterson. Just bricks. You know, Stafford had a pick, so he had 15 points. I had the lowest scoring week all year, and I'm in the playoffs.
Yeah, a lot of people did, though.
Terrible.
A, between guys that are out, and B, just this was a week where defenses dominated. You know, the under was the play. Fewest number of touchdowns in a week in 16 years.
It's crazy. Oh, Archangel though, or Archangel,
Arch.
It's Archangel, yeah.
Right. That's a good point. You were in the playoffs, so.
No, it's a 2-week. All right, we have a 4-team playoff, so it's across 2 weeks. So I'm still in it. I'm down 88.96 to 113.
So I send that picture. The lights are in the speakers. It's your wife.
Got some catching up to do.
Living the dream. Yep. Say what?
I yanking your bobber.
That's
Are you that
goes back
Act 2?
That was
Act
Act 2. It's like, you know, you pull my chain.
Yes.
And someone said, "Are you yanking my bobber?" We're like,
It was,
"What?"
It was jerking.
Oh, yeah, you jerking my
Are
bobber?
you jerking my bobber?
Jesus. Where are you from?
A lake where you fish.
A lake.
Pahokee. It might be Pahokee.
Pahokee.
I want to go to the Mud Bowl. That's on my sports bucket list.
The Mud Bowl. Wow.
Yeah. You know what I speak of, right?
I think.
Pahokee and Glades County football.
Maybe.
So you're not aware of what I'm talking about. In Palm Beach County, you've got Pahokee High School and you've got Glades Central High School, I believe it's called.
Right.
And like they've put more NFL kids in that county. It's just crazy how many kids have gone to the NFL from those two schools. And that game it's called the Mud Bowl.
That sounds exciting.
Hey, it's the high school equivalent in football, what you were watching yesterday.
It's Friday Night Lights.
But it's two of the poorest. You're talking Palm Beach out by Okeechobee, the other side of that county.
Yeah.
Or West Palm Beach County. Dirt poor.
But they live, breathe football.
And this game's a really big deal.
Football. Let's go watch some football.
I don't know how much longer he can remain a Blazer, by the way.
It's bad.
Well, he's just And they're now 12 and 18. I mean, he's got to
out of their league.
He's got to be like, get me out of here.
Yeah. Just don't know where I want to see him end up. What about New York? That'd be awesome. If he's a Knick,
Would work for me.
that'd be great. Get a trade package going. Send RJ Barrett and Derrick Rose to Portland.
I'm sorry, it's the Muck Bowl.
Muck.
Yes, but here, let's just give you a couple of the players that have played in it. Antoine Bolden, Santonio Holmes. I thought this is the one with the list. It's if you ever get a chance, just
Are we close here?
Yeah, we're like 30 seconds.
Okay.
if you ever get a chance, look up rabbits for something. There's an article about them catching rabbits in the sugarcane fields. Oh, no.
15 seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks for spending part of your week with us. Continue to watch the show. And if you haven't already, check it out. Twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton, weekdays 6 to 10 a.m. And there is a Twitch chat room, so you can chime away. And we appreciate you listening on the radio. If you'd like to text the show and you never have before, you just need to send one little text. FSN Radio, all one word, FSN Radio to 21,000. And then there you go. You're in our text room, so to speak. You can chime in with whatever is on your mind. And what we love is any hour of the day, because we don't know when you're taking in this show. You know, we podcast every show on millerandmoulton.com afterwards. So, you know, we get the 4 in the afternoon, the 8 p.m., you know, the 12:02 a.m. text. And those are Mark's favorites.
I've actually got to set it up on my phone now, because before, when we did the show from the house, I would occasionally just walk upstairs and see what was going on.
Right. Mark was bored and he's like, you know, there's nothing down here that's entertaining me. Why don't I just go up and read the text line?
Well, it was more there was something to do up there. There was a reason I had to go up to the office and like, oh, since I'm here, let's see what the texters are up to. Let's talk to all my imaginary friends.
Come on. They were a little more than imaginary. They were right there. Potential friends.
Right. I imagined that they were friends, and let's just talk back with them as if they cared.
Right.
But you're right. We get the text at all times. Had something happen yesterday, David, in the little weather that we had.
Right.
That will not bother me one bit. Would bother you immensely and has my wife in a near panic. David, during the weather, I mean, there's no doubt we had serious wind yesterday, and where I was, there was a tornado touchdown in South Fort Myers.
Right.
There was one, I think, in Punta Gorda, and there was some serious wind in the Estero area. I don't know if we had a tornado, but we had some serious wind. Palm fronds and branches. I didn't lose anything. But all of a sudden, I get a text during the show and a phone call from one of my neighbors that said, palm fronds went flying, took out your mailbox.
Uh-oh.
And then in the voicemail after the show, my neighbor Pierre, thank you, Pierre, said, I hear the voicemail of saying, yeah, your mail was flying down the street. I got pretty much everything I could. So it clipped my mailbox clean off the pole.
Nice.
David, you're aware that I have the angriest mail person in North America.
I can vouch for this, ladies and gentlemen.
She left a threatening note on David's car. We used to do the show from my office in my house. David parked in front of the house, which was in front of the mailbox.
Right.
We had the earliest mail delivery of any neighborhood that I've ever lived in. We have our mail before 10 a.m.
Right.
most mornings.
I've never heard of that anywhere.
You. Right. And we are relatively close to a post office. I don't know if that's why, but we must be first.
You must be.
She left a note threatening to never deliver mail unless that car is parked somewhere else. And I'm not far off in that description. It was not, the tone of the note was anger.
It was, because obviously I parked in which she just couldn't pull up and open the mailbox, and she would have had to have gotten out of said vehicle, and that was not happening.
So those of you that know me know what my next move is. Those that don't, I'll explain. Wednesdays and Thursdays are recycling and trash day. I would then put the trash barrel as close to the mailbox as is humanly possible. I have watched her from parts of my house where she cannot see me run over the garbage can.
And you're getting enjoyment out of this.
Crack it up. One of our listeners happens to be the guy that does all the sprinklers in my neighborhood. That's his job. He's the sprinkler dude for the lawn maintenance company. And he looked at me the other day and he goes, "See, you're still putting those garbage cans in front of the mailbox, aren't you?" And he just laughed. Well, the mailbox is broken, so I have it kind of just standing on an angle, leaning to the pole where it is about 18 inches above the ground. My guess is I'm not getting mail today.
Why? You've got a mailbox.
She'd have to get out of the car.
Well, you know what?
I'm betting against it. I should have put the arrow up and put something in there.
You should put a little sign on the top that says mail with the arrow pointed down.
Also crossed my mind at one point. But if we don't get mail, holy cow, wife will be running to the post office on Friday morning.
Up and down the west coast of Florida, I don't know how many people had this happen to them. Our garbage can is just outside the garage. And we had some garbage in it.
Hence garbage can.
Right. And normally the can doesn't go flying.
Right.
Even when it gets a little blustery, if there's enough weight in it and what have you, it does not go flying. But obviously, yesterday, the tornado had winds around 95 miles an hour. Our house is just a couple miles away from where the tornado touched down. And so, anyway, garbage can went flying with garbage in it. Now, I was able to track down can and lid, which were separate. And they were on, one was on one side of the street and one was about halfway down the other. Could not find garbage. And I looked.
And it was in a bag of garbage?
White garbage bags, tied and everything. Could not find the garbage. Because I have to admit, if you walk outside your house, even when there's inclement weather, if you walk outside your house and there's a bag of garbage on your lawn, okay, you can see where you're like, well, that's rude. And so even though I don't talk to hardly any of my neighbors and know like 4 of them by name, even though we've lived in that house nearly 20 years, all right, I still I'm looking for the white bag. And I literally went all the way down to the end of the street and I'm looking around and I'm like, well, do you think it could have crossed the street? I guess it could have. So now I walk across the street and I'm on people's lawns and I'm like, man, you would think it couldn't make it all the way to the river.
It's like a really big golf ball. It's
right.
Like, one white, you're just looking for a white ball out there, essentially, right?
That's kind of like when you hit an errant tee shot.
Yes.
You're like, man, it had to have stopped here.
I saw it bounce once.
Is it possible it hit a sprinkler head and then it hit the cart path?
Damn cart path, David. It's always the cart path.
Yeah, you're thinking to yourself, it couldn't be down the 7th fairway, could it? No.
I didn't actually clear the hazard into the 6th fairway, did I? Holy cow. That's so bad it's good?
I know I broke out the new Titleist a hole ago, but come on now. Right. So that's kind of what I was like the golfer aimlessly walking around the course looking for my ball with the other, with my group back in the fairway going, just drop it and play it. Right.
So the garbage.
I'm still searching for my wife said it was just one bag. I have no idea. I was out of town.
I mean, I must say, you have to be old enough to remember this song, but it does have all the appearance of the Arlo Guthrie Alice's restaurant. You may be in court cleaning garbage before you know it, sir.
Listen, if I get served the summons, I'm just going to pay it. I'm going to assume you're right. I don't know. So I'd like to apologize. Somebody who walked out of their house yesterday and there was a bag of garbage on their lawn. It's ours.
The only problem is that family now has 4 new credit cards that they've all filled out.
Oh, don't get me started.
Miller and Moulton.
Don't say that. The wife's listening. She'll freak out. Oh, why'd you have to go there?
You got to rip up those applications.
Oh, my wife, please. She shreds everything. You would think there's so much shredded stuff in our garbage. You would think we're criminals. Honestly, if I'm the garbage man, I think, man, whoever lives here, they're doing something illegal because half their stuff is shredded. What are they doing?
Miller and Walter White. The starting 5 is next right here on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for Orange Whip Golf and Fitness Power Peel at Home Training System. This complete body and swing trainer uses resistance band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better, and play better. Use it before your round of warm-up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Kid does have some wheels, though. Who is the Wyoming coach? You know?
Well, used to be Craig Bowl.
Is he old?
He took the job from North Dakota State. I wonder if it's still Craig Bowl.
He's the guy was great at halftime. I forgot.
Was he bald?
Yeah, there he is right there. He got dumped in with French fries. Had a big giant potato dancing with you. You'd be a good potato mascot.
Yeah, Craig Bowl.
I used to be the mascot in my high school.
I can see that.
Craig Bowl was the one that got the North Dakota State one AA dynasty going.
Gotcha. Did you ever try to be the Azul the Eagle?
No. And everyone asked me, like, are you going to be Azul or are you going to be the FGCU Eagle? I was like, no.
Well, you're the right height.
I would kill that shit. Yeah.
You don't. I don't know. Are we on the air?
No, we're not. No, we're not on the.
Hey,
it's not funny.
It's a fair.
It's not funny.
I know.
It's not
No
funny.
offense.
You've made one day so far
I
this
know,
week.
I know.
I went, and by the way, David, so you know, I went to him Monday before the show. I said, "All right, man, I need you to have a perfect week. I need you to leave. I need you on Thursday for you to go away for a week and me feel really good about you." We didn't get through Monday. No. We did not get through Monday.
I want to tell you where I messed up, like when I messed up.
Yeah, we know. We know. We do the show.
Very last.
No, we're aware of when you make the mistakes.
I want to remind the Twitch chat.
What you're not aware of is I hear it from everybody all day. I hear it on Twitter. I hear it in text messages. I think you have a ketchup ban. That's what I'm giving you. For the rest of 2021, you're not allowed to use ketchup on anything but French fries.
What about a burger?
Burger, I'll allow it.
I was gonna say.
It's not necessary, but I'll allow it.
Ketchup on a burger is pretty essential. Ketchup, mustard, mayo. Like a burger is very versatile.
There you go. It's why it doesn't need ketchup.
That's good.
Wow, Oh, Sparty's in the dark jerseys. Man, watching that IMG coach just yelling at kids, I'm like, man, really? The IMG coach, I thought that IMG coach is a D-bag.
He's a dope.
Yeah. Every coach was in a suit for IMG. He had the no tie look because he thought he was special than the other 4 assistants he had.
He thought it was Brett Brown.
He really thought that. I mean, the Oak Hill guy thought a lot of himself, but he's also been doing it for 40 years, and there's a reason why he can think that way.
He's got the credentials. Steve Smith is like an iconic high school basketball coach.
Who is the IMG coach? Do you know him? I mean, is he some legendary coach, or is he just a?
I doubt it.
Is Kevin? Is it O'Neill still the Montverde coach? He won state titles in Jersey, and he left that school like 7 years ago. Went to Montverde. I don't know if he's still there.
Man, if you're winning state titles in Jersey.
Hey, don't laugh. He had to go through
Kevin Boyle.
Kevin, that's it. Kevin Boyle.
Well, yeah. No, I'm not laughing. New Jersey is tough.
Well, also the division he was in, he had to go through. He had to go through Hurley School.
That's the Montverde. Now, when you get to the guys that don't have him, this Kwame Evans, he's a junior. Sam Walters, he's a junior. Derek Queen, he's a junior. And, Derek Queen's a sophomore, number 2 ranked sophomore, number 2 ranked junior.
Boyle's kid was a walk-on at FGCU for a couple of years when he first moved his family down to Florida.
When?
5-6 years ago.
Oh, okay, never mind.
He was a little guard. Couldn't play much, but.
And there's a lot more connections about FGCU that I didn't know about.
But Dooley, the coach at the time, brought him on the team as a walk-on.
Coming back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Seth Everett will join us 2 hours from now. We'll talk a little hockey in our bonus hour. Right now, it is time for. It is.
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Let's play 2 is what the NFL says, right, Mark?
Okay, Ernie.
And at the same time, Philadelphia, after trailing 10-0, they dominated Washington over 500 yards of total offense. You sure Jalen Hurts isn't going to be the quarterback of the Eagles next year? Just saying. They looked pretty good last night. 27-17 over the football team. The Eagles join the Vikings and Saints at 7-7. Technically, the Vikings at this moment in time would be the 7 seed with the Eagles and then the Saints in that order on the outside looking in. I will say this, Eagles and Saints have much more favorable schedules the rest of the way than do the Vikings. One thing to keep in mind, if it comes down to just a head-to-head Eagles versus Saints for the final playoff spot, Philly beat New Orleans about a month ago. Obviously, that would be the tiebreaker. The Rams put a fork in the Seahawks for this year, 20-10. I mean, the Rams were controlling the game, but Mark, I don't know if you saw, there was a play early fourth quarter. It's 17-10. Seahawks have 4th and 6 at midfield, and Pete Carroll's one of the most conservative, if not the most conservative coach in the league. But they've got about 140 yards of offense, I think, at the time, and he says, you know what? We haven't been across midfield all that much. Let's go for it. And there was an obvious pass interference. Obvious pass interference on 4th and 6 not called. And then the Seahawks receiver was so upset he kicked the football and gave him 15 yards. So the Rams ended up starting in field goal range on the next drive. But I nominate sometimes in the baseball hour here, it's the 6 o'clock hour for those that don't know, we just throw potential poll questions up in the air. I nominate this one. Should you be allowed to challenge any call in an NFL game? Like, you only get 2 or 3 challenges, but you literally could challenge anything. Because that was the game, that missed call. That was the game.
David, I'm not against the question. I'm not against your premise. What I am against is the thought that this would ever happen. Because, David, Bill Belichick's the smartest guy in the room when it comes to football. He's only been asking for this for a decade. And he's no closer today than he was when he started asking for this. And he's right. You're right. But if I put the second poll question up that says 98% of you believe you should be able to challenge anything, do you think the NFL will ever adopt this rule?
See, I don't believe that 98% of people.
I was
but
just
you know what I mean. But I don't even know if a majority of people do.
Okay, but let's just, for the sake of argument, say that the majority of people do. Do you think the NFL would change it? Because I don't. They don't like pass interference calls being overturned or called after the fact. We found that out.
Well, there's no doubt about that, because when the rule got changed, they went out of their way to sabotage it for an entire year.
Yep.
Rams beat the Seahawks 20-10. The Rams move into a first-place tie with the Cardinals atop the NFC West. Arizona currently owns the tiebreaker. Seahawks put a fork in them at 5-9. Some injury and COVID news around the NFL. Leonard Fournette likely to be placed on short-term injured reserve, likely out for the rest of the regular season. Bucs expected to officially sign Le'Veon Bell today to be their backup tailback. Also, Levante David is likely out for the rest of the regular season with the foot injury. This is something the Bucs did not have last year. Vita Vea was the only key player who was injured down the stretch last year. Sorry, I don't consider O.J. Howard a key player with Gronk and Cameron Brate.
Right.
All right.
And particularly the fact he was injured in the
5th game.
Right.
So, but the injuries now, here's Tampa Bay not going to have a bye, and man, are they banged up. And we're just 3 weeks before the playoffs. The Chiefs, by the way, now have 13 players on the COVID list. Oh, by the way, they've won how many in a row? Yeah, what could derail them? What could derail anybody? COVID. They put 7 more on yesterday. Right now, Kelsey and Tyreek Hill are on the COVID list. Who does Kansas City play this week? Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Did the Steelers get the break of all breaks?
Would it surprise anyone?
Just throwing it out there. It's early in the week still, but the Chiefs right now have a COVID problem. So does the University of Miami. They have paused all football activities. They said it is still our intention to play in the Sun Bowl, and I know everybody's really looking forward to that, a week from Friday in El Paso. But as of right now, they have paused all football activities. Tropical Smoothie Frisco Bowl. San Diego State beat Texas San Antonio by 14. Both teams finished the year 12-2. And Wyoming in, I think, the game with arguably the 2 ugliest uniforms of the year playing at the same time. I mean, it should have been renamed the UPS Bowl because both teams were brown. Wyoming beat Kent State 52-38 in the Idaho Potato Bowl.
Well, I mean, the potato skin.
No.
They did dump the coach. They doused the coach with a bucket of French fries.
Right. Well, I'm looking forward to the Mayo Bowl there. Mac Brown and the Beamers kid there, North Carolina, South Carolina, both coaches have agreed that the winner should be doused in mayonnaise.
Will they douse the person in Frosted Flakes with milk?
Just want to know, how big is the spoon that you're going to need to, anyway.
A good Frosted Flake is...
Ohio State quarterback Jack Miller transfers to Florida. He was a 4-star recruit out of Arizona. He hardly played. He did, however, get behind the wheel drunk and get pulled over for it on November 5th. Former USC quarterback Keaton Slovis ends up at Pitt. He'll replace Pickett at Pitt. That's interesting. And Alabama, they're very picky with who they take, but they very quietly took a Georgia Tech running back, Jahmyr Gibbs, yesterday, who had over 1,200 yards from scrimmage. He transfers from Georgia Tech to Alabama. I'd call that an upgrade.
It's interesting that someone like that all of a sudden wanted to transfer to Alabama. I mean, he just entered the portal willingly, and wow, amazingly, Alabama said, we think we're a match.
Well, they only picked up 2 transfers last year. One's their starting middle linebacker, and the other's the receiver from Ohio State, who apparently couldn't crack the rotation at Ohio State.
Well, it's pretty good rotation at Ohio State.
What was the quote from somebody who covers Ohio State? They got one of the Buckeyes coaches to say that the room wasn't big enough for Williams. Jamison Williams, the kid from Alabama, at which point somebody responded and said, you need to get a bigger room. NBA. The Heat whooped up on the Pacers last night by 29, 125-96. There was only one game canceled because of COVID. So in the NBA, 5 out of 6 games got played. Knicks, Pelicans, Mavs, Suns, victorious. Phoenix beat the Lakers in LA by 18. Remember, LA trying to give it a go without AD. Adam Silver contends we have no plans right now to pause the season. He says, I don't see the benefit from doing so. They do have alternate plans just in case 1 or 2 teams have a COVID issue between now and Christmas Day. Remember, the NBA plays 5 games on Christmas. How about this, by the way? The nominations for the Basketball Hall of Fame came out yesterday. All right.
It's always a tough one because it encapsulates their entire career, the international factor and flavor of this.
Right.
This is the Basketball Hall of Fame. It is not the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame.
Correct. Gut feelings, by the way, very quickly. All right. Up or down? Manu Ginobili.
I would say yes.
Yes. Chauncey Billups.
Ooh, I would say yes.
Finals MVP.
Okay, and had a very mediocre career the first half of his career. Rip Hamilton. I'm more yes on Hamilton than Billups.
Okay, yeah.
Tim Hardaway. That's walk right up to the doors, and then we've got to talk. I mean, he does I think he was like 5-time All-NBA. I mean, Hardaway, especially when he was part of TMC with Golden State, was amazing. Mark Jackson. Now everybody knows him as the commentator. A lot of people never saw him as a player. I think when Mark Jackson retired, he was like 2nd all-time in assists. Played a very long time. Mark Jackson would be a Craig Biggio Hall of Famer.
Right.
If you know what I mean. Coaches, by the way, Becky Hammon is also up for Hall of Fame.
And she'll run in.
George Karl and Bob Huggins. Now, I think Huggy Bear's a Hall of Famer.
I don't think he'll get in.
Isn't George Karl within the top 10 in wins?
Yeah, Karl's a Hall of Famer.
He's got a bunch of wins.
Really? You think George Karl's a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, I do.
See, I don't. I think he's a compiler, but that's okay.
In the coaching ranks, compiling gets you in a lot of the time.
Well, that's true.
It's not picking up 10 and 3 for the last 4 years of your career, if you know what I mean.
I understand.
I mean, you're supposed to compile when you're coach. That means you keep getting hired and you keep winning.
Well, when you put it that way. So I'm a yes on Huggy Bear for what it's.
I am too. I just don't know if he'll get in right away.
Well, he's been nominated, I think, a couple times before and has come up short. By the way, there are a few people who say I look like Huggy Bear.
Especially now.
Well, got fatter, grayer. Yeah.
I mean him.
You jerk. College hoops last night. Pretty significant.
That was really mean this close to Christmas.
There, ladies and gentlemen.
That was really mean this close. Right between the birthday and Christmas. That I need to run and pick you up a breakfast sandwich or something.
Officially, the you-know-what moment of the day took place at 6:50
really mean
a.m.
I'm sorry.
Remember when Alabama had that big win a couple of weeks ago and shot up to like 6th in the country? Yeah, they've been getting beat ever since. Memphis beat them by 14 last week. Davidson went to Tuscaloosa last night and won 79-69. 78. Nova in a Big East showdown beat Xavier by 13. Jacksonville gave Pitt a game but lost 64-55. FAU lost to High Point 55-52. There were 3 other Florida games that were supposed to take place. 2 of them canceled because of COVID. FIU couldn't play Houston Baptist, and UNF couldn't play Florida State. However, Mark, the FAMU Arizona State game was canceled because of no water, no lights, and no power at Arizona State. That's right. The arena is apparently that much of a mess that the Oakland Alameda Coliseum said, hold our beer.
Wait a minute.
In Tempe.
In Tempe, Arizona.
Right. Pac-12.
What a beautiful city.
Yes. And a beautiful campus.
Yes. And we're just talking about the buildings right now.
Right. Okay. No water, no lights, no power. You're really on a roll today, aren't you? You can tell somebody didn't get a lot of sleep. They're a little punchy this morning. You're going to be something when you crash later. Number 1, South Carolina beat number 2, Stanford in women's ball, 65-61. They came from 18 down to win. South Florida did lose to Ole Miss on a neutral court yesterday, 61-53. They'll probably still stay in the top 25. And the FGC women returned to the top 25, at least in the coaches poll. And then they beat High Point by 36 yesterday. Tragedy with the Tigers organization. Their first base coach, Kamara Barti, died suddenly, and no one knows why, at the age of 49. The NHL is pausing their league a couple of days early. There will be no hockey through the weekend. 14 games are currently scheduled for Monday. Let's see how many of them get played. Lightning beat the Golden Knights last night, 4-3. They came from 3-1 down late second. Stamkos, the winner on the power play in the third. Lightning head coach John Cooper added to the COVID list yesterday. That was the only game played. 10 were scheduled. So NBA plays 5 out of 6. Hockey plays 1 out of 10. Right now with COVID, and the NHL and the players officially did say no to the Olympics last night.
And that had to do with a lot of different reasons. But if you tested positive, you were stuck there for an extra
3 to 5
3
weeks.
to 5 weeks, right? So so that means it could possibly be 7 weeks you would have spent over in China, which gets deep into the NHL season. And that, more than anything, had to the reason why they bailed on the Olympic Games.
And that was
the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
more on hockey with John Matisz in our bonus hour from The Score. John Matisz from The Score app will join us coming up in our bonus hour to talk more about the NHL and its problemos.
And they are mounting.
Yeah, they are. I think it's a smart move to take a break.
I agree. The problem that they're going to face is that this 3-week layoff, as I've been saying, the building availability, there's going to be a whoever the schedule maker is, good luck.
You thought you were done for the year when you put it all together? Back to work, kid. Back to work. Miller and Moulton.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yesterday, I had a ball boy who was a freshman in high school tell me that they knew exactly who Miller and Moulton was.
Wow.
I was like, really?
You should see Felipe out there, David.
See a star?
He dances.
He dances.
I almost
He's-
pulled out the phone to video you
Hold
dancing
on.
courtside.
Hold on. What do you mean he's dancing? He's just doing the social media. Sit there with your
He
thumbs
dances
and your
around.
a
phone.
timeout.
He's running
Take a
around the
timeout.
court. He's everywhere. He thinks he's NFL films. It's fantastic.
I mean, I basically am. No, I'm just kidding.
You actually basically are.
But my job gives me access to be anywhere at any time.
Hey, I emailed you that article.
I saw, yeah.
And you're gonna read it. You're gonna read it when you're done with the show, and you're gonna go, "Oh my god, I
Yeah.
want to go to the Muck Bowl."
I already love the intro.
Right.
And I like kind of skimmed through it. Like,
It's, I mean,
Rabbits.
this is 14 years old. This was written in 2007, and
I can
it's
tell.
and it's stuck with me that long because it's like holy blank.
Rabbits.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna need. Oh, I probably can do this.
RCB, I think the Lightning are the toughest out in the playoffs because of their goalie. Period. End of sentence.
Is he like the best goalie in the NHL?
Yes, he is.
Like without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell me about him. Who is he?
Andrei Vasilevsky.
Andrei Vasilevsky.
When I was in college, the Rangers and Flyers played in a playoff series, and all my buddies were Flyers fans, and I was the Lone Ranger fan. And we're watching this series that the Rangers stole because John Van Beesbrook stood on his head. All right. And midway through game 5, as the Rangers are about ready to steal this series, one of my best buds in college stands up and starts screaming at the TV, "He's a wall. He's just a blankety blank wall." All right. And so now anytime a goalie stands on his head, we all text one another and go, "He's just a blankety blank wall."
It's just a wall.
All right. And Andrei Vasilevsky is a blankety blank wall
Got it.
and has been for 3 years.
So when the Rangers won in '94, were you at that parade?
No.
That's one of my favorite 30 for 30s of all time.
I worked, but it was
June 14th, 1994.
it's a 10. I have the AP copy. Bullet AP Bulletin, New York, 10:58, 22:58 EST. The New York Rangers have won the Stanley Cup.
That's awesome.
I have it.
Was it the first in a while or just the first in franchise history?
54 years.
In franchise history.
No. They had won
no.
like
Yeah.
3, 4, 5 cups pre-1940.
It's like a Red Sox curse.
Yes.
Yeah.
The funny thing is now the Leafs are now 67, so this is year 55 for the Leafs.
Mhm.
You know, there were quite a few franchises. The Flyers haven't won since 75.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, this is 47 years for the
Man.
Flyers.
If it wasn't for that,
If it wasn't for that Eagles
yeah,
Super Bowl, the drought of Philly. Well, they got the World Series against the Rays.
No way. But man,
And the Flyers have been to like 7 finals since they last won, too. I mean, the Flyers have been good.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network on this Wednesday before Christmas. Yesterday, bit of a crazy day weather-wise up and down the west coast of Florida. Hope you all made it out okay in your homes and what have you. And it's nice that things are back to normal, so to speak, today. Seth Everett will join us next hour. Talk a little hockey in our bonus hour.
I thought you maybe talk a little hockey with Seth. We're going to talk baseball with Seth?
No, I just said Seth Everett next hour because we never know what we're going to talk to Seth about. Seth is the best laid plans of mice and men guest.
Fair enough. Yesterday, we had our poll question, David. It was very Christmassy. It was simple. Do you get a Christmas bonus?
Right.
35% of our audience get a Christmas bonus in some way, shape, or form.
Okay.
Most of them are getting cash. 27%. 8% are getting a gift card. 65% of us are Sergeant Schultz. We get nothing.
I know nothing.
Nothing.
All right.
I, for a moment, was going to have our new boss text the three of us yesterday. Want to get together for a quick Christmas lunch and have it be total BS just for your reaction.
I don't know what to do. All right, with a Christmas bonus. I would not know what to do because apparently the last time I was given one, I returned it.
I would just recommend not giving it back.
It wasn't a Christmas bonus. It was a Christmas gift. I'm guessing, Mark, that your wife is the queen of thank you cards.
Oh, my goodness. So much so that the daughter already has her own thank you cards at the age of 7.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
My wife has instilled the thank you card already in my daughter, which I give her so much credit for. That'll keep getting you presidents till you're at least 12 with people.
12, 22 in this day and age. I mean, there's no personal touch anymore.
No.
I mean, we text all our guests back and thank them for coming on. And we have had many of them say, you have no idea, okay, how few shows and what have you do that.
It's funny because you've kind of taken over the guest part of the show. And when we were in the home studio, we literally used my cell phone for guests. So I had everybody's number. So I was the thank you guy. There are times after shows that I almost want to text you like, you did thank yous, right? Because it became such a part of what I was doing. And you're right. You can tell when people respond to you, it's like, I don't get these.
Well, I mean, we pay so much for our guests. The least we could do is thank them. That's our thought behind it. So, listen, we're adults. There's not a whole lot, at least in my small circle. There's not a lot of exchanging of gifts.
No,
we're to the point in which it's like, listen, we love each other. We know that we're good. The kids, we do things for each other's kids. That's it.
Yeah. Put it this way. My wife asked me very early in either our relationship or our marriage, what are you getting David for Christmas? And I started laughing. She goes, well, it's the only guy you really work with. I go, yeah, maybe on the 23rd, we'll say Merry Christmas to one another.
We might fist bump on our way out the door. Right.
That'd be big.
Right. Just
exchanging gifts.
So somebody in my work circle, all right, sent us a a bottle of wine. All right. And it's a nice bottle of wine that I could recognize. I mean, I don't really drink wine.
Right.
Okay. And my wife,
Where is it?
And my wife doesn't drink at all anymore. All right. Which I have to admit, if you stop drinking, all right, and you haven't had one in the last 2 years, I like your chances not to drink anymore. I mean, I really do.
Yes.
And my wife didn't have a problem at all. Okay. She had a couple of medical conditions and it was advised, yeah, you probably shouldn't drink. So she just on her own said, I'm going to stop drinking.
And never was much of a drinker anyhow.
No, not at all. So just so happened, it's been 18 years now. But I joke with her and I go, I mean, if you're not going to, pull out a little bottle of wine or what have you in 2020 and 2021, you're probably done.
Yeah, there's no doubt there.
So this is how ill-equipped we are to receive a gift. We text you and your wife wondering, since we know that the two of you drink wine and you like your wine and you are familiar with cheap wine.
Levels of wine.
Right. And so we're like, listen, we got a decent bottle of wine here. Okay. It's more than $100.
Wow.
All right.
I'll give you 50 right now for it.
And we're wondering, we want to send, immediately my wife brings out a thank you card. But we're wondering, how do you word it? How do you, is it an exquisite bottle of wine? Thank you for the great bottle of wine. All right. Is there a certain vocabulary with wine?
Right.
Because we wanted to make it seem like we drink wine.
Right. I thought my response set you up perfectly for who and what you are. Because David's wife did text me with basically, I got no idea how to thank someone for something that's nice. Right. And my response was, I usually drink wine out of a box, so this was really nice of you.
Yes, and I love that. And I'm like, I think we should.
Because I think the person would find that hysterical.
Oh, yes, and they would. So your wife nominated the word amazing.
Yes.
All right.
A wow and an amazing and a cheers all in there.
Right.
Really hit you, a left, a right, and then a little one more just to let you know I'm coming for you.
And apparently what really swayed my wife was the cheers.
Uh-huh. Well.
So the return thank you note said, thank you for the amazing bottle of wine. Cheers.
Yep. There you go.
There you go.
Sound like you're speaking the lingo there, David.
There you go. Right. We're fancy.
Yep. Give me that bottle of wine and pass the hors d'oeuvres.
Yes. Yep. We are swaving to boner. Yes, we are. FSN Radio. It's all one word. Text it to 21,000 21000 and you're in. You can text us anything, anytime, anywhere. And if you watch us on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel, there's a chat room. You can do the same. And I will say a debate has now broken out in the Twitch chat room as to whether or not the Lightning can win another cup. And you and I are politely saying to people, they still have Vasilevsky in the nets, right?
As long as that man stays healthy, they can win 4 games in any series.
Help me out here. Hedman's still on defense and Vasilevsky's still in the nets, right? Yeah, I think they're going to be a tough out. Don't have to know much more than that.
No.
Got a big defenseman who can play every other shift for 2 months and a goalie who stops everything.
And a bunch of goal scorers.
Right.
Yeah, they lack depth, but that's where the goaltender comes in.
Yeah. And, they need to get luckier with injuries than they have the past couple of years. They have less depth, and so they'll need to be healthier in the spring than they've been lately.
But as they rig the salary cap so Kucherov can come off and play in the postseason again with the $15 million bonus that they seem to play the postseason with, I'm telling you there's going to be a rule that's coming in at some point.
I don't know, because they're not the only ones doing it.
Well, then there's that.
Other teams have, even the Islanders last year,
Right.
They got the one guy hurt late. They were $12 million over the cap. It was funny. Everybody complaining about the Lightning in the conference finals and finals. The Islanders were almost as many millions over with their injury exemption,
right, but
too.
They play in New York where the media hangs out. I'm telling you, that's it. If it happens to the Rangers, there'll be a rule change. Or Toronto.
There you go. Now you're on to something. If it was the Leafs against the Lightning in the finals last year, there would have been a major uproar.
That would mean the Leafs have to get out of the first round of the postseason.
Right, which is, well, not something they are good at.
After last year when they set it up for them, they said, here, we'll put everybody in a bubble and let you play against the Canadian teams.
Right, the weakest division
We're gonna walk you to the finals.
Right.
They couldn't pull that off.
No, they couldn't. They could not. After the games of Monday and Tuesday, if the playoffs started today, here's how it would look. Green Bay, the 1. Dallas is the 2, but that's a technicality because there's a 3-way tie, Dallas, Tampa Bay, and Arizona. There cannot be a 3-way tie in all likelihood at the end of this season because Dallas and Arizona play one another in 2 weeks. So if Tampa Bay wins out, they will be the 2. But Dallas is technically the 2 this morning. Tampa the 3, Arizona the 4. And that's the good news for Tampa Bay, is that they have the tiebreaker over both head-to-head. They have they're like 5th conference tiebreaker ahead of Arizona, and they beat Dallas head-to-head. That's why it's assured that if Tampa wins out, they will be the 2.
And I think, obviously, Tampa notwithstanding, but in getting to the 2, but I think the other thing, NFL-wise, league-wide, I'm going to be fascinated now with these 2 games on Tuesday, how these teams respond. We've always talked about the teams that lose on Monday. There's been a long-standing tradition of Monday night losers winning. But 4 games over the course of the last 2 days, you've had all the COVID that's gone through these teams, guys in and out of the lineups, hardly any practice time, David. Now, not a lot of times to prepare. I really wonder, you and I don't win at it's the wrong way to describe it, but you just basically were pretty adamant that the Giants, who you follow, aren't winning another game. And I'm like, David, come on now. I just watched Detroit beat Arizona, and the Giants are going to get a team on a short week this week. I'll be fascinated by Christmas football, if you will, Christmas weekend football.
Tomorrow it's San Francisco at Tennessee. Big game for
tomorrow.
Well, and the other thing that's, to me, going to be interesting about that game is those are 2 of the 5 most physical teams in the league. I mean, they really are. Those are 2 teams you don't like to play. They are meat grinder teams. They are teams in which we will play you in a phone booth. In fact, that's how we prefer to play. And so them going up against one another on a short week this late in the year with all the injuries and COVID that everyone is dealing with.
Yeah, I know it's in Tennessee, right?
It is.
Which gives them a huge advantage at this time of year. But Tennessee's the team that you would argue is a little more banged up.
Yes.
And with no Derrick Henry, and
and Brown at receiver.
And the imposing your will to run the football. Right now, I believe San Francisco's built a little better on December 23rd to play that game. I don't know if it was December 28th, if you know what I mean.
Right. Don't disagree with you. But the Rams are technically the 5, even though they're tied with Arizona for first in the West. The Cardinals on the tiebreak. And then the Niners are the 6, so 3 playoff teams from the NFC West, and it looks as if that's going to hold unless the 49ers collapse here, and they have won 5 of 6. And technically the Vikings are the 7. They have the tiebreaker right now in a 3-way with them, Philly, and New Orleans for the 7 seed. AFC, Kansas City the 1, a game ahead of New England, Tennessee, and Cincinnati. They own the tiebreaker over the Ravens. They would be the AFC North champions today. Then in order, it's what? Indianapolis, the Chargers, and the Bills, all 8-6, 5, 6, and 7. The Ravens at 8-6 are the odd team out right now in the AFC. 21 teams are 500 or better in the NFL. 21 out of 32. Obviously, only 14 playoff spots.
David, I don't know how all the tiebreakers work out, but I'm just telling you, when we come back, I know we don't spend a lot of time talking NFC West, but you've been on this Niners thing for a bit, and when you start looking at what comes down the line for the Rams and the Cardinals, that could end up being a 3-way tie.
Whoa.
when it's all said and done.
Look at you. 15 minutes after the hour, top of the morning to you, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for Orange Whip Golf and Fitness Power Peel at Home Training System. This complete body and swing trainer uses resistance band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better, and play better. Use it before your round of warm-up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
They're all 11-6, right? By the way, the Niners have Houston in the middle of that. They go Tennessee, Houston, and then the Rams.
It's a neat stadium. I mean, it is. I mean, when you walk into Jerry's place, that scoreboard is so big, but it's from the 20 to the 20. But the circular scoreboard there, which is 100 yards, it's goal line to goal line.
The halo.
Yeah. I will say, though, they do pump in the music.
Like it's loud.
Yeah. SoFi?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
SoFi is loud.
Think about how great of a concert venue that will end
Oh,
up
I
being.
agree.
Oh, wow. Look at that. And I think I saw something, like a video about when they were making it years ago, where that the glass on the roof kind of has like a tint to it to like reduce sunlight a little bit. Yeah.
But that scoreboard, with the way it's positioned, and it's so big, that circular scoreboard from where we are, which is like third level, you can't see the upper deck. The scoreboard is so big, it blocks the entire upper deck.
Interesting. Which, I mean, no biggie.
I just can't believe they didn't build it in a way where they'd have like sliding glass doors on the side that they could close so that they could have the Final Four. I mean, how would you spend all that money on an arena and not want to host the NCAA championships? Because they can't. It's windy. I mean, you cannot. I mean, you might as well play the games outdoors.
That's right. Yeah, because there's technically wind. Yeah.
No, there's not technically. There's wind.
No, there's wind, dude. But that's cool.
And there's wind coming in from the sides, which is literally the way you would be shooting.
I think that's
how they would lay the court.
Do you want to just go with that poll question? Sorry, I didn't.
No, whichever one you want.
Well, there's only been one, the one you said.
Oh, okay.
I think that's really cool, though. The fact that it's an indoor stadium.
It's not an indoor stadium.
No, I'm saying like, okay. It's a dome, but not a dome.
It's a canopy.
It's a canopy. There, that's the word.
The $4 billion canopy.
Yeah.
How do you want to word it? I know you do. It's easy on the air because we can explain it. Is that good enough for a Twitter poll question? You know, based on the amount of blown calls or Bill Belichick's original idea.
Should NFL teams be allowed to challenge any play?
Give me 2 plays off the top of your head that you think should be
Last night's
Last night.
pass interference, no call.
Yeah.
And that's
It was
why
the
I
game.
don't think it'll happen.
It was the game.
Which
And
game
it was
that?
obvious, by the way. But
Rams, Seahawks.
yeah, it was obvious.
I don't
To
know.
me, it'd be a quick, honestly, 12 seconds. Look at it, go, yeah, they missed that. That's pass interference.
Yeah. I mean,
Give them
think about
first
it.
and 10 at the 28.
The Saints would be NFC champions.
Oh, well, that was staggering.
Yeah.
We were everybody in the booth was desperately looking like there has to be a flag. We're missing it.
Oh,
Where
you were
is
at
it?
that game.
Oh, yeah, we were working it.
Oh,
And we're all of us, Pereira, all of us were looking around. You know, the guy doing the graphics, okay, wants to put the flag
Cool
up on the
story,
screen.
Johnny.
he didn't.
And,
Come back.
you know,
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, 22 minutes past the hour. Seth Everett coming up in a little more than an hour. We'll talk hockey 2 hours from now in our bonus hour with John Matisz from The Score.
You want to text the show, text FSN Radio to 21,000, FSN Radio, all one word, to 21,000. You can always follow us on Twitter, the David Moulton, that Mark Miller, and you can join us on Twitch where you can see the show and stick right with us through the commercial breaks if you so desire. So Adam Silver yesterday said what I think a lot of us agree with. One, he said, I'm not going to pause, at least for now. That's their stance. And that we have to learn to live with the virus.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Yzerman, the Red Wings general manager, said something very similar, but their league's taking a pause. Now, as we've pointed out several times, the NHL has a couple of elements that the NBA doesn't. Several teams north of the border, and they have a far bigger COVID problem right now than the NBA does. Maybe because they're doing a lot more testing. That's my personal opinion right now.
Could very well be.
And I think they have to a little bit because, again, of the border crossing. But I'm in agreement with Adam Silver. We're going to have to learn to live with it. At what point does that change, in your estimation, letting an asymptomatic player or a vaccinated player start playing, even if they test positive? Do you think that has to happen soon?
Well, I think one of the pro leagues is going to do it. Unless this is, you know how we have flu season and what have you, and sometimes it can be intense but shorter than others. Unless this is a 4-week phenomenon here that's going to take up the final 3 weeks of December and maybe the first half of January, and then it's going to dissipate. But if this is the beginning of what some feel is going to be a 3 to 4 month wave, then I don't see how one of the major sports leagues is not going to come to the conclusion of, yeah, we're only going to test either A, those unvaccinated, or B, those that say, hey, I'm not feeling well, I'm sick. And everybody else, we're simply not going to test. Or are they literally going to come to the conclusion of, well, so-and-so tested positive. Showing any symptoms? No. Asymptomatic? Yeah, they can play. But see, the reason why I don't think you will get to that is why then test them, if you know what I mean.
No, I'm with you.
If you're the league, I don't want to find out that you have
And
COVID.
that's why I'm not trying to play conspiracy theory right now, but when Baker Mayfield, they showed up after practice to test us last week, I was on Baker's side there. If you're going to test everybody, why on God's green earth with rapid testing would you let everybody practice, be around one another, and then test them? Wouldn't you do it first? Seems to make sense to me. And when I say the NHL's if they're testing more, you're going to get more positives. It seems that right now, like the city of New York's testing, well, the numbers are going way up because they're testing everybody.
Mm-hmm.
If the line that Silver said here, the quote that I keep going back to, the virus will not be eradicated. We're going to have to learn to live with it. If he's right, at some point, one of these leagues has to make this stand.
Yes. Listen, I don't think the NFL has gotten this far down the road of the 2021 season to get derailed now. Now, may they be moving games around in the final 3 weeks of the regular season? Could be interesting. Yeah. But, Mark, I got to believe come the playoffs that the NFL may take their head and put it in the sand. We're down to 14 teams. We're down to 13 games. All right. We know who's vaccinated. We know who's not vaccinated. We know who's been sick. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Here's the deal. The unvaccinated players get tested. Those who raise their hand and say, I'm sick, get tested. Everybody else, good luck.
Boy, give me one good commercial break. I might be able to turn this right into a, he knows if you've been vaccinated.
Wow.
He knows if you got a booster.
Whoa, look at you. I'm telling you.
He knows if you cross the border first, so
be good for goodness sakes.
Get jabbed for goodness sake.
Wow, look at you. Look at you. Whatever you have done in the last 12 hours, do it again. All right, do it again. I don't know.
Got to get out more. Live sports, David.
There you go.
It's the cure for everything.
Tell you what, everybody listening right now is going, man, it must be. Look at him. Creative juices are flowing, little sleep deprived, but
I don't even think that's sleep deprived. You know what it is, David? You know what I got yesterday? A nap.
Oh.
I knew I was going to watch a little hoop. Knew I was going to be up a little later. I said, got to prepare for this. Got myself a big fat nap.
That should be our non-sports poll question of the day, which is,
is there anything better on earth than a nap?
We need to come up with like two other choices. If you could only have one.
Ooh, best way to recharge your batteries.
Right.
Nap, coffee, one of those. What Bang, Bing? What were you drinking over there?
A Bang.
A Bang? You're off of those, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, you can't.
You were.
Woo. You have enough energy without it.
Right. All of a sudden.
You're generally a shot of Cuban coffee without the Cuban coffee. You go at a pretty rapid pace all the time. I don't think you need any help.
Not lately, though.
Well, no, you have been burning the midnight oil, so to speak.
The poor 21-year-olds worked like an 80-hour week.
I know.
What we used to call normal.
Right.
At that age, trying to break into. It's how you break into the business, young man. You're doing the right thing.
I signed up for it.
I think this is good, though, because now early on you decide, do I really want to do this? I mean, we urge everybody who wants to get into this business to go into accounting or something. Be productive with your life. Make some money. Don't do this. So this is kind of the week to make or break Felipe. The problem, though, is he's going to go on a family vacation. He's going to get recharged.
Right. He's working hard so that mom and dad can take him. What are you going? You going skiing for a week?
Yeah,
exactly.
Holy spoiled brat.
This is not the real world.
Yeah. You know what? I want to tell you one thing next week while you're on this vacation. I want you to enjoy it. I want you to have the best time you can have, because it's probably, mom and dad don't want you to come on vacation still, but now it's going to be on you. You're going to say, well, I'm sorry, I got to work. What do you mean you got to work? I got a job, Mom.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. This is really the last hurrah.
That's exactly what I was saying.
So enjoy the hell out of it, young man.
And if they're listening, I'm so sorry, but this is probably going to be the last one.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll get, then you'll start getting, well, no, I'll come home Christmas Eve and then Christmas Day, and then I'll probably leave late Christmas Day because I got to work the next day. And that'll drive your mom crazy until you're 25, and then she'll be done with you.
Yeah.
Then it'll just be simply, when are you getting married and giving me a grandkid?
Yeah.
Miller and Moulton. Trying to talk people out of this business on a daily basis.
One person at a time. When we come back, should we just challenge everything? Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
He's doing good, okay? As far as I know, I mean, Roto's been doing great. He's on Twitter. He's working.
Yeah, I mean, he's actually had a great fantasy year. He has produced a great website, and he's doing terrific work. I don't know how financially successful it is, but his health is terrific. We text regularly. He's doing really well. And the reason we haven't had him on is because we started midseason. And that's why we didn't do fantasy this year, because we started and it was week 5 or 6. So we will likely be very active with fantasy for next football season.
Well, not just next. I really think
golf and
I really think, and you know, I hate that Roto doesn't like to do early. I think we should be doing fantasy golf every Wednesday.
Yeah, we can do that.
I mean, we're on, and the 2 markets we're on, it plays.
We can do it. We should do it.
That's where I think we could be getting.
But I think he would do it because he's got something to sell.
Fantasy golf?
Oh yeah, it's huge.
Big on the west coast of Florida.
This is the first year I've not played it.
How does that even work?
Same way anything works. You take 4 or 5 players, and it's how they do in the tournament. Their combined score.
That is sick.
And there's a lot of work in it because you're studying which guys play well at what courses, because you're not making your hay on Justin Thomas. You know what I mean?
You got to, yeah.
And you are, because you got to pick someone out. You got to pick a couple guys out of the A group, but also down here, not just fantasy golf, but betting golf. Like, I have friends who spend a lot of money gambling on golf, far more than they do football, because they know more about it. I mean, these are friends of mine that all play at a pretty high level.
Not that there's an answer to this question, but I wonder what the hardest sport to gamble is.
I think basketball.
Basketball's tough because
I think basketball, because the late scoring can throw so many things off.
And it's a game of runs.
Well, it's just, to me, the late scoring. Someone throws a 3-pointer up late.
Yeah.
The way you can get beat in basketball is ridiculous.
Garbage time, the bad beats.
Most of the bettors say that hockey is the easiest sport to bet. If you really know what you're doing, you can make money in hockey.
What about baseball?
Again, you better follow it really close.
Yeah. Who's pitching, who's out.
And how that pitcher who might be good,
against
I mean, all of a sudden, like our old producer texted me on Sunday, he gave me his bets. And the first thing I said back to him was, I didn't like the New Orleans. He had Tampa. I'm like, and he gives me all these reasons. I'm like, yeah, but Tom doesn't play well against New Orleans.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. You asked me which one I didn't like. I didn't like that one. I don't think he hit hardly any last week.
I know a guy who's been on a pretty good gambling run this year who literally missed every NFL game he bet this week. Every one.
Wow, that's just as impressive as
I agree. I said, hey, way to go.
There you go. Nice.
That's sometimes good when you're having a good year and it just goes south that way. It's just
one week he's like, wow, he wouldn't take my advice. I do love this. Somebody sends you a text and they go, if you could only bet one game, what would it be? And I said, Bills lay the points. Okay. and then they don't play it. Shows you what they think of your advice.
Udonis. That's awesome.
Oh, wow.
Now,
That's a nice little factoid. Oh, there's some good music, little factoids today, David.
Oh, yeah.
Plastics. I got to find it.
20 seconds.
And some
The Graduate came out today.
really good movies.
The Graduate came out
and
today.
Dr. Zhivago.
Yeah, but The Graduate.
I know.
I got to find it. I've got one word for you. Plastics.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"23 minutes before the hour. We are Miller and Moulton. This is the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. We will be off each of the next 2 Fridays. Christmas and New Year's Eve, we will not be doing a show. Just to let you know. Hope all of you in your holiday travels be safe, be well. Thanks for spending part of your holiday week with us.
You know, I'm really wondering. A&M yesterday put a pause on. Miami later in the day did the same thing.
Right. To football, by the way, is what we're talking. They're
College
pausing
football,
their
sorry.
football programs.
And they're playing in bowl games that don't matter. Hey, David, what happens if all of a sudden Miami just decides, yeah, we can't make it to El Paso?
Oh, the game will get canceled.
What do you think the odds of that are right now? I mean, I think they're under 20%. I would say like 10% right now, 5 to 10%.
I think they're actually higher than that.
Okay.
What I was curious about last night is, would you be in favor of them calling Florida State? Because let's face it, I mean, you know, every team that was bowl eligible is in a bowl. To play the bowl, would you then go, because it's an ACC Pac-12 bowl?
I would in a heartbeat. I don't know if you could get them. They're not practicing. They're
right. And they're
they're
probably
gone
gone for the holidays. Right.
Then you have to get them back. Then you have to test all. I mean, think of the logistics involved in the COVID world to pull off what you're trying to do in a week's time. That game's New Year's Eve day.
Correct. It's a week from Friday. In theory, a week from today, you got to get on a plane and head to El Paso. Right. Because you're not going to fly in the day before the game. You're going to fly in 2 days before the game. So I actually think the odds are greater than 10%. I think the odds are more like 25 to 30% that this game gets canceled.
Just wanted to, because, you know, one, you're going to be working it.
Well,
allegedly.
It's money out of my pocket. There's no doubt about it. I mean, that's
who would you be more mad at? The AAF or AA, whatever that thing was?
Oh, no, I'm really mad at the AAF.
Okay.
No, that's personal. That's personal. I worked a 13-hour day and didn't get paid for that.
David is one of the many people that worked for what was the name of that league?
The AAF. Don't ask me what it stood for.
That league.
Right. That was around for like 7 weeks. And I know they owe a lot of people a lot more money. They owe like the city of San Antonio about $5 million. I think they owe Spurrier like $500,000.
It doesn't matter. You want what's coming to me.
$1,000, baby. They owe me $1,000. That was the deal.
All right. David started with this during the starting 5 this morning, and it's morphed into our poll question. Because in last night's Seattle-LA Rams game, Seattle with an opportunity to come back and tie the game on a 4th and 6, there was a blatant pass interference call that was not made.
Right. It was missed.
Therefore, The Rams end up not only getting the ball, but in frustration, the Seahawks receiver kicks the football, gets a 15-yard unsportsmanlike, gives the Rams a short field already in field goal position at that point. They would end up winning 20-10. With that being said, and with Bill Belichick now probably a decade ago, David, maybe even a little more, when Bill suggested, I think you should be able to challenge any play at any time for anything. And that's it. So should NFL teams be able to challenge any play or call?
Yes. And that was Belichick's thing. Hey, give us a number of challenges, but we can literally challenge anything. His theory being twofold. One, well, any call can be missed. And two, any call could be the call of the game. You really don't know. There are a lot of calls that influence the game. Put it on the coaches to decide which ones they want to challenge. I mean, sometimes you're making a decision as to whether or not you're just going to challenge a spot. You know, man, I'd really like a stop here. I thought he was about a half a yard short. I'm going to challenge this spot. Sometimes coaches know they missed the spot and they go, it's early in the game. I only got 2 challenges. I don't want to, waste one on this. Who knows? They might rule against us,
And that is it. That happens often.
Yeah.
So I'm in a weird spot. I would vote yes. And when you're asking me my opinion, I would vote yes. I think this has absolutely, positively zero chance of ever happening. And I think the league told us that when they decided you could challenge pass interference. And as you mentioned, they did everything possible to sabotage that rule.
I disagree with you for multiple reasons. One is with the prevalence of gambling now, I think there's going to be more and more pressure put on all sports leagues to improve the quality of officiating and to get more things right. There's just going to be a lot more money at stake. Number one. Number two, if the NFL was still the league that it was 2 years ago, Mark, where they put in the, hey, we can challenge pass interference, but they intentionally sabotaged it. Hardly any of them got overturned. And then that's it. It was one and done. But the NFL has made one significant change since then. They've added that basically eye in the sky official. The NFL now has somebody in New York that is watching and all of a sudden can hit a button and go, yeah, you guys missed that. All right. It happened in the Monday night Bears-Vikings game. It happened numerous times this week in which they just kind of hit the button and go, yeah, that was a first down. You missed it. Move it forward.
Okay. But to your premise and where I come back to are just a couple of calls, David. Really simple. Holding, of which we all know is on damn near every play. If I can sit there and challenge that the left tackle held my guy whenever I want, I don't see them overturning that. I don't see it happening.
All right. Now, hold on. Just let me clarify. So remember, it's challenge a call, not a non-call.
Well, you said challenge any play or a call. On that play, I felt that my guy was held. I can't challenge that? I mean, based on the way you're telling, I can challenge anything. My the left tackle held my defensive end on that play. I want to challenge that. Now, if that's not part of what you're saying, if that
no, it has to be. No, any play is any play. So technically, you would be right.
And okay. I just don't ever see a time in which that would happen in the league. I don't.
See, the reason why I think it could is I don't think they're ever going to really expand the number of challenges. Like it's 2 now. Like I wish it was 3. And the NFL would say, well, technically it can be 3. If the coach goes 2 for 2, he gets a third. But I wish the number was 3. I wish it was 3 and you could challenge anything. Because that non-holding call, and we all know what holding is, and it's not the legal holding. You're allowed to hold.
I mean, there are plays you see a guy damn near get tackled and they don't call it.
Right.
And it happens, I would say, you see one of them in the postseason every year because they just quit calling holding penalties in the postseason.
But, if that's the play in which so-and-so's got more time and he throws a touchdown pass and the defensive tackle was tackled on the way to the quarterback, I think that should be allowed to be challenged. I do. Because The last point I would make, Your Honor, if I could make one more point, Your Honor, I would say
We're here till 10, David. Knock yourself out.
I would say, since we have replay, in theory, we reinstituted replay in the late 90s to do what? To get the calls right. Well, we're only trying to get some of the calls right.
We're just trying to make sure the ball's not hitting the ground and fumbles. It's a possession thing, David. I mean, that's really what the replay's for. Inbounds, out of bounds, catch, no catch. And we still don't know what a catch is.
So I still think there is a chance of it happening. You think there is zero chance?
None. And I hate doing it because I don't want to sabotage a poll question. I love poll questions. And I just, here, let me finish with this, David, on this particular topic. The numbers right now in the NFL are staggeringly good.
You mean ratings?
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Well, what other numbers?
Well,
no. I'm kidding. But
no.
The
It's a valid point.
The television numbers, they've gotten back everything they lost a couple of years ago. This league is doing really well right now. There's no demand for this change. In order to have something like this, we have to have what happened in that New Orleans game. I mean, that's the only reason we even came up with this, is because in a game of the utmost importance, the officials really screwed up.
Yeah, it literally determined which team went to the Super
It did.
Bowl out of the NFC.
And the NFL has seemingly not cared about that. It was a game for the Super Bowl, and they didn't care. And they don't care.
I do think a lot has changed. There's a lot more gambling now than there was 3 years ago. A lot more gambling. And the league is all intertwined in it. And I do think that that will change things. I believe also that the demand from us, I mean, right now we're still in lapdog mode. We are. We're just soaking up everything. But at what point do we start to get annoyed with the officiating?
Well, I don't know that, because I'm trying to think of the sport in which we got so upset with officiating that we demanded change. The one I always go back to is hockey after the lockout. That they actually made a philosophical change with how the game was officiated. I think this year, Felipe's been all over the two of us because he's Mr. NBA over there, but they actually made a rule change in the NBA that makes the game better for most of us. You can't jump into somebody and get a foul anymore.
Right, the Harden rule.
Yeah, because we had gotten sick of it.
Yeah.
I don't see the football public pounding the desk about anyone. We've got to be able to do. If we can't challenge every play, I'm done with this sport. I know I'm going over the top, and I'm not. I'm doing it for a reason. Even with the gambling, I don't see the demand right now.
When people don't think the games are on the up and up, that's the danger to the product. It's why, actually, as a commissioner, I would want something like what I am proposing, because I need to guarantee one thing above everything else. I need to guarantee that the 330 million potential customers that I have in the United States think that this league is legit in terms of who's winning and who's losing, and that we don't care. And there's too many bad calls. I know it's a tough game to officiate. I know the players are not helping. I know they're not. They're not playing the game as fundamentally well as they used to. I get it. They're making the officials' job harder.
And they beg for calls and they embellish calls. I mean, literally last night at the high school tournament, one of the drills the teams were doing before the game, David, was they were backing into a guy and the guy was taking a charge. And I'm like, I looked at the guy I went to the game with, and I'm like, we looked at one another, went, are they practicing flopping right now? What is the point of this drill that they're doing? And my only thing I could get out of it is that they were literally practicing flopping.
I mean, the NFL has had what did they harp on this year? Taunting. We've seen some
Right,
15-yard penalties. To me, that's not the one that I would harp on. If we were sitting in the offseason and debating we want to really come down hard on something, to me, it would be the complaining.
Absolutely.
All the flopping, every defensive player now, if I'm blocking the edge and you're running around it, every guy on the edge throws his arms up and like, I'm being held. Oh, no, actually, you're not. He got position on you and he's blocking you.
But David, you know what you just did? I hate to do this to you. You told me why I was right. You just got done explaining why my philosophy on this, even though I'm on your side, that it's not going to be changed, why I'm right. You know what the NFL is worried about? Taunting penalties. They think the problem in their league is taunting penalties. I mean, think about it for a second, David. The point of emphasis for this season was not getting calls right, was to make sure we don't have any taunting. And we caught a taunting penalty after, the block punt, and the guy kind of celebrated and looked at someone. That was a taunting.
Right.
That changed the game. That affected a hell of a lot more money than a pass interference call. Sorry.
Listen, I've remarked many times over the years, William Bennett wrote a book. It was about politics, and it was 30 years ago, and it was titled The Death of Outrage. And in a way, because we have so much fake outrage now, we really have had the death of real outrage. And I'm just wondering, though, it's NFL fans are soaking up the product, yet at the same time, they are complaining about the product. And at some point, being on the good side of that arc becomes being on the bad side of the arc. And if I was involved in the league, I would be wanting to make sure, hey, we're riding high right now, but I think we got a problem here. We got to do something about it before it's too late.
Boy, David, you take out football, you could take that little crux of argument, put in a lot of different slots of the world right there. We'll just stick with football. Seth Everett coming up next hour. We'll talk a little hockey in our Southwest Florida bonus 9 o'clock hour. If you want to text the show, simply text your thoughts on this poll question. You can answer it online. Go to that Mark Miller, soon to be up at the David Moulton as well. On Twitter, you can go to our Twitch room, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton, or text the show. Text FSN Radio, all one word, to 21,000. FSN Radio to 21,000. Your thoughts on the challenge, anything? If that's a direction you think the league should go in. I think I think it's something that should happen, but won't happen.
You're probably right. Belichick probably won't see it during his day coaching in the league.
We do have the crux of another poll question, because you wondered where my energy came from, and I said it came from my nap yesterday. And we're getting a lot of nominations for how to recharge your batteries. And I do like the one person had just three on his list: nap, nooner, or coffee.
Oh, that's not bad.
In order? Sounds like a hell of a Saturday, if you ask me.
I was going to say, sounds like a hell of a month to me.
Spoken like a very honest man right there.
Miller and Moulton. Seth Everett next hour. We'll talk a little hockey. In our 9 o'clock hour, John Matisz from The Score to join us as to where the league goes from here, not just this season, but also with the Olympics in future seasons. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for waking up with us, the Florida Sports Network.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I am a huge advocate for naps. Huge. Oh, man. Big nap guy.
You?
Oh, yeah. Huge advocate for naps. I mean, think about it. When I was in school, I'd come home from Miller and Moulton, and I'd take a 2-hour nap, and then I'd go to school.
When I was in school, I'd come home from
You're
Miller and
still
Moulton.
in school.
What a bunch of crap that is. I'd come home from Miller and Moulton. Come home from school. That's ridiculous.
Okay.
That's total.
3 months ago.
Is today Festivus or
no,
yesterday?
3 weeks ago.
What is Festivus? Hey, can you give me a little volume on this computer?
Yeah, I got you.
I just want to say one word to you. Just one word.
Yes, sir.
Are you listening?
Yes, I am.
Plastics.
Gonna have to a little more volume when we get to Today Was a Day When. All right, I'm done. That's all I needed.
All right.
God dang it, I love that movie. That's in there too. That's when I'll stop everything at any point if that movie's on.
10-minute nap under the bleachers yesterday. And I am so proud to admit it. It was a great nap.
I can nap anywhere.
I set up, you know what I did? You know those little black stools that they pull out every time there's like a timeout on the floor?
Mm-hmm.
I grabbed 6 of them and I made a bed. I made like a what's it called? Like a love seat. And I just laid my body on it. It was good. I was woken up by a horn.
Ooh, that's a little loud.
That's a good poll question.
Yeah, I saw that one. I agree. I agree. Wait a minute. You live in Spain, Vile One?
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Europe is great for the nap.
Oh yeah. Aren't they like?
Oh, they're all about it.
Yeah.
I'm not like that's what you
Like
said. They
in-
shut down every.
Yeah. Aren't there? I think Sweden is it?
Did you see the Taylor
All of
Made
them.
golf one? Okay, with all the Taylor pro golfers there, and Rory's the one who says, "I double dare you." It's a scene from the
From Christmas Story.
It's funny.
That's pretty funny.
Speaking of which, I bought the Fragile lamp and shipped it to Lambeau.
Tomorrow's Festivus.
For the rest of us?
Yep.
Bars. But I think it was Sweden that they have like 4-day weeks, like work weeks.
Yeah, and their morale's
Yep.
really good.
Yep. Wow.
I found this TikTok yesterday of this girl who left this country to move to Germany and just kind of points out the differences. It is.
It's fascinating.
Well, what was the line? There's two lines that foreigners say about Americans that I found interesting. One is that we're a third world country with a Gucci belt. And America is not the best country in the world, but it does have the best PR department.
Yeah,
And I thought those were funny lines. I'm not trying to start arguments here on Twitch. I just thought that they were. When's the airing of the grievances? I think tomorrow we may have Sports Festivus on the show.
Come back.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Halfway home for those of you listening in the 239, final hour of the show. For those of you in Tampa, St. Pete, thanks so much for spending part of your day with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Our poll question, which can be found on Twitter at either that Mark Miller or the David Moulton: should NFL teams be able to challenge any play or call? Yay or nay? It's as simple as that. Right now, 5 out of 8 of you say yes. And that was my point, Mark. There are a lot of people, it is funny, they don't seem to have a problem with how long college football games are. They complain bitterly about how long Major League Baseball games are, and they're deathly afraid of adding another minute or two to an NFL game, which to me is hysterical because there's only 272 of these suckers.
You know, the length of time thing still, everything starts going over my head when you say that, because it does blow me away that you, me, Chris Fowler, and the one other guy, the guy that's up in Chicago now, are the only 4 that I know that hate the length of college football games.
Right. Everybody else is fine with it.
And I mean, just think of this. We're going to have the college football national semifinals a week from Friday, New Year's Eve. The second game is scheduled to start at 8, which means it'll start at 20 after 8 or so. That game will not end this year.
Ooh.
No. It will not end this year. And that's Michigan, Georgia. They're going to run the football. That's going to be far and away the shorter of the 2 games.
You know what's key to find out? Just when kickoff is.
If I gave you an 8:20 kickoff, does the game end in 2021?
Hell no. But
if I give you an 8:05 kickoff.
Yes. Yeah, that's the key bit of information on that prop bet right there. When is this game starting? Anything earlier than 8:09. I can get an 8:08 kick, I'm betting the under. For just the reason it's Georgia, Michigan. There's going to be a lot of ground and pound.
There is. There's no doubt. And I thought it was 8, and what I'm getting is 7:30 for a start, but that doesn't seem right.
Yeah, I don't think that's right. I think that's when their coverage starts.
Right.
But that they're going to kick it like 8:08. That would be my guess. But who knows? New Year's Eve, maybe they're trying something different.
Yeah, they've got 3:30, 7:30 as start times. I mean, if they're going, but boy, that's got to be. I know 3:30 is that's when Alabama plays, and they try to get all of their games at 3:30, but it's not on CBS, so I don't know.
Yeah, we sign off at 4:00 Eastern, and I know part of the thought of the network and the bowl game is to be done before the semifinals. So I don't think they're kicking off in Dallas before 4:00 Eastern. I think that's another 4:08 job. I would bet on 4:08 and 8:08.
Right.
And that's just the ESPN app they're trying to get you to watch beginning at 3:30 and 7:30 because that's part of their charm.
Right. I'm with you. But again, that would be it's just earlier than I would think. But even at 7:30, hey, they could give it a run.
But that's why, nearly 40% of early voting is no. I don't want to challenge every play. And I do think the number of challenges is key. Like right now, each team gets 2, and you got to go 2 for 2 to get a third. We're not going to be talking about a ton of plays here. How about this? Would you like it if the NFL had a rule where they could have just pressed a button, called in, and said, yeah, we missed that. That's pass interference.
Yes.
Eye in the sky.
I've always been in favor of an eye in the sky that has the autonomy to call anything that they want, David. I've always been in favor of that. We've discussed it at length. You and I both believe that it's difficult to have an ex-official up working with officials. We actually have always said it has to be what? An actual another member of that team so that they trust that member and it's not an outsider. I'm for all of this. Like I am not by any means trying to, take you on and argue the point. I am just, after watching what they did to that blatant pass interference and putting a rule in, I don't think they have any interest. And I also don't think the league needs it right now.
You know what I also find interesting? The difference between Saturdays and Sundays. On Saturdays, pass interference is 15 yards. On Sundays, obviously, it's point of foul. Yet the argument is, well, we can't have that. We can't take the Saturday rule and penalty and put it to Sunday because corners who are beat will just tackle everybody. And, that'll take away from the enjoyment of the game and what have you. Well, we have the rule on Saturdays, and we're not seeing everybody just tackle everybody. I mean, occasionally you see a guy who realizes he's beat, and he does just, commit pass interference and realize, at least it's only 15 yards. It's not a touchdown. But we don't see it every play.
And David, maybe I'm nuts because we don't like to go backward. But I'm to the point now where I don't necessarily, because we call pass interference so much. It's called far more often than it's ever been called. I hate the pass interference in the end zone because you're saying so many different things when you call it. He would have easily caught that ball had he not been interfered with. Oh, we're sure about that? He wouldn't have dropped said ball had he not been interfered with. And then we just give them the ball on the 1 yard line and say, here's 6 points. In the fantasy world of football and everything else, I wouldn't mind 15 yards and have him keep trying. I really wouldn't. Now, I think I'm on an island saying that because I do not like end zone pass interference. I don't like the ball at the 1 yard line.
Would you feel any better if they placed it at like the 3?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
I actually would. I would like the 5 even better.
But maybe, by the way, you're listening and you're going, yeah, I don't have a problem with the way the game's being officiated. I'm okay with it. I can live with the bad calls. I know they're bad. I'm good. Because you got to remember what just one non-pass interference call affected last night. It not just potentially affected the outcome of the game, but it definitely affected the outcome of everybody who bet on the game. I mean, the line was 7.5. I mean, the Rams are not getting 3 points if they get the pass interference call right. Now, doesn't guarantee Seattle's going to score, but the Rams are not taking the ball over in position in which they don't have to gain a yard and they can kick a field goal. I mean, and if nothing else, the game likely ends 17-10. That's another reason why I believe going forward, there's a better chance of this happening is because we're going to have so much more gambling. And the leagues, in fact, are promoting it. Hell, the networks are promoting it. I mean,
and they haven't even started to promote it in the ways they're going to promote it.
The way they really want to promote it.
Because we don't have it in enough states yet. And it seems that every time you hear one of these ads, particularly, David, you do your show, you fill it on Sirius once in a while with a couple of different shows. If anybody's ever listening to Sirius when they run, and even on, I think on both the Fox and ESPN, national networks, but you hear the gambling ads. It seems that 35% of it's a disclaimer, or 35 seconds of the 60 is a disclaimer right now. So they're not even getting to where they want to get to with the gambling.
So maybe we're on a bit of an island here that you're watching the product and you're like, you know what? I can roll with the punches. I'm good with it.
We got to remember this, but I would like to ask the poll question here in the next week or so of if the NFL reduced pass interference would you like to see the NFL reduce pass interference from a spot foul to a 15-yard penalty? I would be curious what a football audience would think of that. Be curious what Pat Kerwin would think about that, because there's part of me that thinks he'd beat us up.
Yeah, my guess is he's for status quo. Longtime league guy.
Right.
My guess, but I'll tell you what, the officiating bothers him. It bothers him. He keeps track of penalties. He's big on the number of penalties being called. It is funny. We don't want holding calls, but we want them to get pass interference right. I think it's because one call is 10 yards and the other call is oftentimes 20, 30 or more.
But even in last night's would have been what, 8?
Oh, no. That was a play that was like 20 plus yards downfield. So that would have set him up 1st and 10, I think, inside the 30.
Okay.
Now, I mean, with the way they were moving the ball, that's still a long way to go for them to score a touchdown. But that would have moved them into scoring range. Miller and Moulton. Seth Everett, about 25 minutes here on the Florida Sports Network.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
You mean not talking during the break? Sometimes we just chill out. You could bring up a topic. We could talk about that. Well, first off, we haven't done a best of yet, but yes, it would only be from Act 3. We could technically do something from Act 2 because we own it, but we'd have to find it and it'd take a lot of work.
Man, do I love me a good DoorDash driver.
I'm sorry, what?
Man, do I love me a good DoorDash driver.
Look at that. What'd you order?
Wendy's breakfast.
Huh.
Because Chick-fil-A was closed and McDonald's was unavailable.
What, did he ask you what you wanted?
Just curious, the next time you do that, we
There's
got
two
two
other
people
people in
over
the
here
room.
who are working. I mean,
When I brought breakfast, did I bring you breakfast?
You did.
Yeah. Sit down and shut up for the rest of the show. You're not even
That's
allowed. I cannot
you
believe
got two fat guys.
this is a
looking at you here.
This is a
one fat
fireable
guy.
offense. This is flat out a fireable offense. I'm putting a poll. You may not have a job by the end of the segment.
Yeah, really. My goodness.
Unbelievable.
That's wow.
I'm texting Casio.
Are you serious?
I'm gonna text my wife.
I have to speed.
All you have to press a button and say, "Hey, I'm getting food. You guys want anything?" I mean, I got to admit, I'm shocked. We're staring right at each other. I mean, you didn't think
With what? Would you Grubhub or
DoorDash?
okay?
I mean,
what? I mean, you didn't even think of it, did you? You didn't even think of it.
in my head, I was like, okay, I don't have time to get breakfast.
No. We get it. You were hungry. You obviously don't have time. You're working at DoorDash. We got it.
But I could have.
But you never even thought.
First of all, you guys are the ones talking. Are you gonna talk with food in your mouth and stuff? Or are you gonna eat in the
You
commercial
could literally.
Have you not for every show he's on the road?
That's a good point.
Are you honestly
That's a good
joking?
That's a good
I
point.
am.
That's a good
Okay,
point.
you literally could have asked us in the Twitch chat room, by the way.
I
Even if
could've.
you had the idea while we were on the air during a segment, you could have just said, "Hey guys, I'm getting breakfast. You want anything?" You would have gotten funny responses from the others in the chat room too. I got a buddy of mine saying, "Listen, you're fat. You didn't eat any more food."
Yeah,
Bob,
we know
you're
that. Great.
right. That's not the point.
Ew. Just look at more. Jeez.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my god.
I mean, my goodness.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I don't mean to jump the gun, David. You've come and you've brought us out of segments since we've started this thing, but
Right.
there are certain things that have happened that I needed that light on like I've never needed it on before.
Welcome back, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Mark, the floor is yours.
Whatever.
Seth Everett in less than 20 minutes. That's if we get there.
I feel like everything that just happened here is 100% my fault, David. I'm
Wait,
taking full responsibility for what has happened.
Mark, you were not to blame for any of this.
Well, I have backed this young man. I am basically responsible for the fact that he's hired, more so than you. That's why I'm taking full responsibility.
The young man in question is Felipe,
Felipe, our
former producer.
who was about to get this great gift of a job when graduating college, which benefits him in numerous ways with the deal he has with the university of where he is going to graduate from. And now he's going to go on vacation with his family and have to give them all this bad news. Only the audience can save Felipe from a ruined Christmas right now.
It's just his,
And I don't think you want to.
his fate is in your hands.
So by now, you know that Miller and Moulton both like food a lot.
Yeah, Moulton likes it a lot. Okay, Mark is edging at times towards. I don't even think beefy, as Dan Patrick would say. Okay, but I mean, I'm fat.
I'm pretty
Mark-
beefy right now.
Right now, Mark is beefy.
The holidays have been winning.
Yes.
And I've been enjoying them winning. Let's face facts
You
here.
know what? Good for you. Congratulations.
Been eating peanut butter chips right out of the bag for the last 3 days.
Okay.
So just to get you where I am.
So Miller and Moulton are officially beefy and fat for purposes of this discussion.
And Felipe's been working very hard. He's not only been working our show, but this week he's been doing social media work for the City of Palms basketball tournament that's being held in Fort Myers, the premier high school tournament in the country. So he's been getting up at 5 a.m. to get here, and he's working till about midnight every night. I get it. It's a grind. He's also 21. That's when you're able to grind. And the break comes, and Felipe gets up and leaves, which is A little unusual.
Right. No, he's pretty much, he stays because there's a network part of the break. Then there's a local. He's got to do that. Wants to make sure everything's synced up. And then also during the commercial breaks, quite frankly, is Felipe time to talk.
Yeah, he gets excited. He gets to talk to the Twitch people, gets to talk. He brings up basketball stuff with you, and I generally take my headsets off.
Right. So Felipe gets up and leaves the room, and we're like, oh, okay.
Whatever. You know, and apparently there wasn't a lot of chatter going on in the Twitch chat room, and they were upset that we weren't talking. I was reading a little article, and David was doing something. And Felipe walks in, he goes, hey, man, I got my breakfast here, man. I'm starving. This is great. They brought me breakfast.
And the two of us look at one another, you know, beefy and fat, and look at one another and go, seriously?
Did you even think to maybe say, hey, you guys want anything? And we're not asking you to pay for it.
No.
You would have actually gotten a free breakfast.
Yeah, we would have paid.
And made your bosses happy. Instead of pissing them. No, don't talk. It's only going to make things worse, Felipe. And I need to get all this out, and I can't have you adding in right now. It's going to make everything worse for you.
At the moment that Beefy turns to Felipe and says, incredulously, I might add, did you think of asking us? Felipe, for that, you know, we asked for 6 seconds of truth, but sometimes you only get that first look, that 1 to 3 second look. And Felipe gave us that look, which clearly said, as a matter of fact, no.
Not even close. Never even entered my brain.
No. Wow, that's right. You two are here. Huh.
What's really going to bother me is if I walk across the hall and the guy running the board for the other station got breakfast from Felipe. Now, that would be out.
And not only that, he's beaming. I mean, honestly, he's like a changed man. He's sucking down whatever iced coffee or whatever it is.
Which I'm going to run out of coffee here in the next 10 minutes.
Right. And he's bragging about whatever he's got in the bag. And I've never had Wendy's breakfast, so I don't even know what it is they serve. I've heard that, all right, but I've been unable to partake. This would have been a golden opportunity for me to be able to enjoy a Wendy's breakfast and see whether or not the good things I've heard are legit.
And I don't know if you recall, David, but it was a few weeks ago that I wanted Felipe to try this little Cuban place.
It was just last week. I think it was very early last week.
And I had breakfast delivered to the studio by my wife.
You did.
And I brought breakfast.
Your wife.
I brought breakfast for you and Felipe. Now, you passed on it, but there was food for you.
And he got my breakfast.
Right. So I did not know that Estero Parkway was a one-way road, but apparently it is, Felipe. Felipe, one way.
Felipe, not for long.
Yep.
That's what your new nickname is. And we're just going to call you NFL, which
not
stands
for long.
For not for long when you order breakfast and you don't even ask us, hey, do you guys want anything? I can't believe, I mean, you're like a good student too. You're smart. I mean, you know, when you ask people older than you something, there is a chance, there's going to be one of two answers, no or yes, and then we reach into our pocket and we pay for it.
Right.
Because we're the ones with disposable income. The advertisers all target you, which we don't understand because you don't have any money. We do.
So that was not what we intended on talking about coming out of the commercial break, but the show has been derailed by the 21-year-old.
So now very quickly, FSN radio to 21,000. And if you've never texted before, this would be a good time, even if this is the only time you ever text us. All right. Should we spare Felipe or is this a fireable offense? All right. Same in our Twitch chat room, Miller and Moulton / twitch.tv. The Miller and Moulton channel. Is this a fireable offense? I know that's harsh. I definitely think it's worthy of a suspension. But wow.
Right. Well, he's getting a suspension. He's going on vacation with his family. It's just whether or not his key card works when he comes back from vacation.
Right. And the funny thing is, all right,
Too late.
He comes back and he starts going, oh, at DoorDash, that's great. The others weren't available. And, McDonald's was closed and Chick-fil-A and blah, blah. And we're looking at one another. Are you serious? So from now on, when you think Miller and Moulton, I want you to think beefy and fat and see if that changes your thinking and your behavior going forward. Should we let him speak?
I don't think so.
As you can tell, one of us is taking this a little more harshly than the other.
Let me get to some of the texts. FSN Radio, 21,000.
Right.
Gone, toast, see ya.
Yeah.
I'm really not going to be able to get this out of my head. Not asking people around you if they want something to eat is one of my top 5 pet peeves. Fire Felipe on the spot. This is worse than theft.
Worse than theft.
And the best part is he's laughing and eating on the other side of the glass.
Yes,
He is stuffing his face with food as we speak.
Yes, he is. No sense this
And he's now underneath the table with both hands over his head.
Right. He's looking at us like, well, there's
laughing hysterically.
There's no sense this getting cold.
You eat it.
I will say Daniel in the Twitch chat room, first time he says, keep him. All right. Yinzer, double secret probation. Stan the man says spare him, but only because he's a Miami sports fan.
This is strikes 1 and 2 at the same time. There better be a Sammy coming your way next week, but I say spare him.
Johnny Mack, it's his last meal. Okay. Klecko, there goes the Christmas bonus. Well, you got that right. If we had an envelope here, okay, we would stuff it in our pocket. That's for sure. Arch, hang 'em high.
Unbelievable. This is
Albar says, in the spirit of Christmas, you get to keep your job, but you have to buy us breakfast of our choice one day next week. Oh, man. And most people listening have kids and what have you. And there have been times when, the child, walks in the door and what have you. And the adult goes, wow, all the times I think of you, you were stopping where on the way home? You couldn't have picked me up, like the kid when they get the teenager, they're old enough to drive and they come home with a Starbucks. And I'm not a coffee drinker, but a lot of people are. And how many times does the parent look at them and go, wow, you couldn't have texted me and said, hey, mom, dad, heading to Starbucks. You want anything? Especially since there's a really good chance that you're paying for it with the money that I gave you. And as someone said in our Twitch chat room, the funniest thing is it's not like food is of any importance to Miller and Moulton.
No, we've never talked about it on the show. We never bring it up. We do bring up this guy. His name is Seth Everett, and he is a weekly guest on the show. We may put Felipe's job in Seth's hands when we explain what happened on the other side.
Wow. It's an all-timer, Felipe. Congratulations. Don't know what your verdict is, but you're going to have a hell of a story when you go on vacation with your family next week. Either way, employed or unemployed, it's going to be a good story. Miller and Moulton, Seth Everett's next on the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for Orange Whip Golf and Fitness Power Peel at Home Training System. This complete body and swing trainer uses resistant band connection system to fix bad habits and ingrain a more consistent, powerful swing. The Power Peel system is powered by functional golf swing training technology. It trains both your swing and body at the same time. Simply make a few prescribed resistant band connections, and in a few steps on the peel, you'll swing better, feel better, and play better. Use it before your round of warm-up, as your daily fitness routine, or anytime you want to feel and train the swing you've always wanted. Pair the Power Peel with the Orange Whip Golf and Fitness at Home training technology, available with a monthly membership, and maximize your results with Golf Fitness X coach-led programs that take less than 20 minutes a day. Buy the Power Peel training bundle now for 4 interest-free payments of $115 by going to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. That's code Miller10 to save $45. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to save $45 and play better golf. Go to orangewhipgolf.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey. Awesome. Everything's fine, right?
Yeah.
1 second, guys. Cool. No, I gotta go.
One of the Twitch responses was, "I even get the dog something."
What's up? What's the joke?
All right, here's the deal. We're going to do it on the air. All right, to get the best response.
Okay.
So that it's genuine.
Yeah, and I have a story about a bad radio show that I was on yesterday.
Wait, you weren't on our show yesterday.
No, I wasn't on your show. I was on a bad radio show.
Come on now, that was a joke. You know,
Yeah.
I
was on Rick DiPietro, ESPN New York. They cold call, but they cold call people. They don't tell them they're going on the air.
Oh,
I just got a random phone call, and the guy's like, "By the way, you're on the air." I'm like, "Why are you calling me?" It's so amateurish. I'm sorry. That's small. That's very small.
They're only doing mornings in New York City. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Like, be better than that.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
And so many people loved what I said, because they saw a tweet that I made, and I made an argument, and they agreed with the arguments. They were praising me, but when they said you're live, and I go, "What station is this?" and then they go, ESPN 98.7, and I just go, "Oh, I love that station," and I said it so sarcastically, but they thought I was being sincere.
Well, sometimes early morning sarcasm is missed.
What a joke.
Seth, I'll use this time to talk about it now. Spider-Man, give me your thoughts.
I thought it was, ultimate fan service. It's great. But the Tom Holland character, not the actor. The actor's great. The Tom Holland character is the dumbest piece of garbage I've ever seen.
Yeah, he creates every single one of his
every problem. It's
always on his ass, and
every decision he makes is wrong. He's not Spider-Man.
No.
And
yeah.
Well, we're on Twitch, so I don't want to spoil it.
True.
But we did the podcast. It's coming out tomorrow. We didn't rip the movie, but we ripped it.
Okay.
Do you have Thursday Night Football, or were you done last?
No, we got moved to Saturday. I'm doing Packers Browns.
Really? Christmas?
Yeah. Which is great because it gets me out of something, so it's awesome. But I knew about it in August. Like when I signed the deal, they said, for that week you got to do the Saturday, and I was like, "Are you okay working Christmas?" I was like, "Shalom, I'm in."
You're like, "Yeah, I'm Jewish. I'm good."
It's my stepfather-in-law's birthday every year, and they always do a big to-do, and I don't have to go, so it's fantastic.
We have not told Seth, Mark, by the way, of the recent events.
Oh, good.
So he's going to hear about it for the first time on the air.
Excellent.
Is that a Tampa Bay Lightning jersey?
It is not.
What's that?
Syracuse Crunch when they were the Lightning affiliate.
Oh, that's
which aren't they still?
I don't know the answer to that.
No, they are. They still are.
Okay.
I think this is their current uniform. But I bought a Seattle Seahawks Gerald Everett jersey.
Wow.
81 Everett. That jersey can go past the player. Players can get cut tomorrow.
Sorry, I'm talking to the Twitch people.
Oh.
Nestle Crunch? Is that what you're telling me, Vile One? Because I think that's a highly overrated candy bar, if that's your go-to. We're on opposite candy bar side. All right. See, I'd rather do the is it the crackle or the crack? What's that?
Whatchamacallit?
Well, whatchamacallit for sure. But the
10 seconds.
Milky Way. What are you guys doing?
Oh no.
It's like the Montagues and the Capulets.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
25 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, Florida Sports Network. John Matisz from The Score will join us next hour. We'll talk a little NHL and not just where the league goes this season, but where it goes in terms of playing in the Olympics in future years. Just the last shot, quite frankly. The league just do their own thing. There's talks about it. Seth Everett, kind enough to join us once again. He of the three great podcasts, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, and Tech Stream. You can follow him on Twitter at Seth_Everett. How are you, buddy?
It's good to see you guys, but no, it's not the last shot. And the Olympics are a wonderful thing, just not in China and not during a pandemic.
Okay. You say so.
Seth, let me ask you, because you've had your very strong opinions when it comes to coronavirus and sports throughout this entire pandemic. Sure. Would you first off agree that they keep changing the goalposts? I mean, the game keeps moving, and should they keep changing them in the way that they are? And lastly, do you think there's going to be a league at some point here shortly, Seth, that's going to say, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. If they're vaccinated and they're asymptomatic, we're not testing anymore.
Well, that's going to be the NFL. That's that they're leaning toward that. The NFL is just basically saying asymptomatic. We don't want to know, and they can spread wherever they want. What I was alarmed by, and this is not a political sense. I watched Nick Saban yesterday, and Nick Saban was bragging about how they are going to start wearing masks indoors. I was like, "You're going to start?" And then because they have the playoff in 10 days. And then he says, our locker room is 90% vaccinated. I said, that's not something I'd brag about, because that means if you have 75 players, that means 10 of them are vulnerable, and not only vulnerable, but for a virus that's spreading like wildfire. And the unvaccinated are the only people at risk. I would be shocked if Alabama doesn't lose at least 5 players by that playoff game. I wouldn't brag about that. I don't think that's a good number.
Well, that's if they test, Seth. And I got to be honest.
Again, unvaccinated, don't want to test? Go for it. You want to do it? Again, these are college kids, and how much do they get paid?
At Alabama? More than you and I, Seth. More than you and I.
That's pretty good.
Seth, before you came on, you get to play judge and jury here.
Nice.
We asked the audience for an entire segment and commercial break, and then they're still chiming in. But in the first segment of this hour, apparently, young Felipe, he gets up after the first segment and he leaves, and he comes back and he has food. He has breakfast. Apparently, DoorDash is what he called. And he got food.
You don't call DoorDash. You just press a button.
Right. Yeah. And then he, was all happy. And he was, I got this and my iced coffee, and I got this breakfast. I wanted this.
He didn't offer you guys anything.
There you go.
Yeah.
Didn't even ask. He said, I'm ordering breakfast. Do you guys want anything? Just got the food and came in and said, I got breakfast, guys.
That is
with a big smile on his face.
That's a cardinal sin.
Is that a cardinal offense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember when I was a writer at the Syracuse station when I was a freshman in college. Your job during Syracuse football games was to get McDonald's for everybody. I remember going to McDonald's and ordering like 15 hamburgers and 2,500 chicken McNuggets and 7,000 fries. And the lady looked at me and said, "Is that for here or to go?"
But bum. Hey, listen, we pay a runner. When I say we, I mean CBS. And a runner's job is to sit there and basically, if somebody needs a water, a soda, go get me something. Yep. But for the longest time, the runner, and I think the runner got paid $150, $200 for the day.
Does he wear sneakers, or she? Does he or she wear sneakers?
Oh, yeah. Casually dressed.
Because if you're a runner, you should wear sneakers.
And their job, and we would tell them this. We'd all come in, introduce ourselves, say, "Hey, it's nice to meet you. I hope you enjoy your day. It might get boring at times. Here's what you need to understand. when it's halftime, you need to have 2 hot dogs for Vern Lundquist. And you need to have mustard, you need to have relish, and they need to be ready. And when I mean ready, I mean, he says, and we go to half with Georgia leading Alabama 13-10. You're watching the Home Depot SEC on CBS. And when he turns around, they need to be there. That's your only job today. That's it. Your $200 rides on it. Ready? Go. So that's how important food can be.
To a broadcast booth.
Right.
And Felipe ordered through his DoorDash app breakfast this morning without even considering.
You just have to ask. You probably would have said no. But you had a plan. You know your food plan. You know your meal plan. You know how hungry you are. You're not teenagers going, oh yeah, there's food. Let's dive in.
Oh,
I want to clarify one other thing about the hockey real quick because I don't know how much time we have. The reason I'm against the NHL going to the Olympics, not just because of the pandemic. Playing the games in the middle of the morning doesn't help the NHL. It hurts the NHL. Playing in Europe helps the NHL. There's a big difference.
Seth, there's no doubt. There's no doubt.
We said COVID and then we kind of moved on. And I'm not the COVID, panicker. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they shouldn't have been going in the first place. Not to this one.
Well, I agree. I think if we're going to talk hockey for a second, I really believe you only should, if you're the NHL, consider going to the Olympics when the games are played in certain places. I would never have a time difference further than Europe, but I think you could argue the 2 or 3 times that hockey has really been benefited by the Olympics, they were all in North America. It was Lake Placid, Salt Lake City, and Vancouver. Those are the only 3 times I think hockey really benefited from the Olympics. They also benefited from the U.S. and or Canada won gold in all 3.
I mean, hockey's very big in Russia. I do think the Sochi games helped with Ovechkin over there. I think there was a lot to that. Not necessarily in North America, David.
You live in a streaming
betterment
world.
of the game. That I mean, right now when you go into these Olympics, I mean, you've got, and I'm going to bore the hell out of people here, so I apologize. Give me just 30 seconds. But I mean, Germany now is at a spot in hockey where they've never been. All of your Norway and that group is better than they've ever been. I mean, the European hockey right now is terrific. So you can't discount that end of it.
Okay. All right. But I think of benefiting the league in the States. Okay. And from an exposure standpoint, I really think it's only helped in the States when the game has been in North America.
Putting the games on at 6 a.m. on Peacock doesn't help the NHL.
Not one bit.
So the NHL was against it, but what Gary Bettman did that was right was he let the players decide. And the players had to decide. And when Peng Shuai happened, he let the players decide. This is a player thing. Do not intervene. So I think Gary Bettman comes out fine in this.
Yes.
Agreed.
I agree with you 100%. I will tell you, Seth, the other thing, I was texting with an old friend of mine who runs a building in an ECHL building, but he's dialed into that world. The 3-week Olympic break, these buildings are booked, Seth.
They're booked.
I mean,
know.
you and I have talked about this.
Screwed. They're
Concerts that have been missed for 2 years. They're trying to jam every show into every arena and every monster truck show that any arena that'll have them.
You have over 50 canceled games already that you have to make up. I don't know how they're doing it.
Well, I'm just quick prediction. I think they're going to spend that 18, 19-day layoff just trying to get the rescheduled games made up. I don't know.
But what Mark is saying is that the buildings are not going to be empty.
No, I know that.
You're going to play these games at noon on Wednesdays.
Well,
that's what's going to wind up happening.
And Seth, I think there's a chance that these games get played at neutral sites, or even some home games get played away. I just think, though, that the league, since they're going to have a compressed schedule coming out of this, I think the league almost has to get the missed games because of COVID made up during those 18, 19 days.
You know, last year they went into that realigned thing where they did it only by geography. Right. When they announced the regular schedule, I had said the only thing I would have done was I would have done it by conference, and I would have tried to I would have expanded from the one division, but I would have done it. I wouldn't have had traipsing around all over the place. And they did it because of Seattle. And they did it because, they wanted to see Seattle in all these different cities. I understand what their motivation was, but I just thought it was too bold. And you notice the first thing they canceled was all the U.S. versus Canadian teams. All those games got wiped first. That's going to be an issue going forward. And, we all say it's going to be through the holidays. It's going to get worse in January. So what are they going to do then? I think to your point, the buildings are going to be booked. They're going to be circuses and concerts and things like that. They're going to play those games in practice rinks.
It's possible. And it's possible that road teams that have building availability will end up being the home team, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
But the biggest company out there that book shows is Feld Entertainment. They have the Disney on Ice. They have the truck shows. They are the player in the...
Know them well.
Of course you do, Seth. But they believe, and the person that I talked to had just had conversations with someone from that company. Those folks, they've been doing this a long time. Those contracts that they have with arenas, pretty damn ironclad.
Yeah. Yeah, one of my wife's best friends works for Feld, and we've seen how fast in advance we've gotten notes. But this is pre-pandemic when our kids were little. We would get notes 5 years in advance about Disney on Ice and things like that are being booked. We were like, wait a second, the kid's going to be driving by the time we go to these things.
Well, they may have been setting those Disney on Ice for you or your wife, Seth. You never know.
I didn't realize that it's a race. College football schedules or Disney on Ice. What gets scheduled further out in advance?
Disney on Ice.
Huh.
Disney on Ice.
Who knew? He's Seth Everett. 3 great podcasts, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, and Tech Stream. Follow him on Twitter at Seth_Everett, Seth_Everett. And not this Thursday, but Christmas Day.
Yeah.
He will be playing host on his Twitch channel. Not going to believe what it's called. Seth Everett.
Yeah.
All right. He will be playing host to the Browns and the Packers on Christmas Day from Lambeau with a 4:00 kick.
We'll have Chinese food in hand.
Festivus for the rest of
That's
it.
tomorrow.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
It is. I already have the proper poll that I'll be bringing in and
the
already
poll,
have the show planned for tomorrow.
Feats of strength.
Can I ask my token baseball question?
You can. I won't have an answer, but yeah.
Your thoughts on Buck Showalter?
One of the smartest human beings I've ever known. I had the pleasure of working with him for a couple of years when I was doing Baseball Tonight, and just a savant when it comes to that sport. He will bring class and dignity to the team for a franchise that needs it, and I wish him nothing but the best.
Seth, I don't think there's anybody better to ask this question to, since you're not going to join us tomorrow. And I said this to David, I think we should have a Sports Festivus show tomorrow.
Oh, I'd love that.
Where the sports fan can air their sports grievances. I don't care about your other grievances, but do you have any sports grievances you would like to get off your chest here in the remaining? You got a decent amount of time here, Seth, to let it rip for your Festivus appeal here.
Well, they're both hockey, but they both just happened. Both the Boston Bruins and my beloved New Jersey Devils only could dress 17 skaters for games. You canceled games arbitrarily, but you made those teams play one less player. No, those are the games that get postponed. If a team can't field a roster, you don't play the games and you don't penalize. The Devils and the Bruins both had 17 skaters, and they let it fly. Notably, both the Bruins and the Devils lost those games.
Well,
because they were down a man. That's ridiculous.
Well, before they canceled Florida Panthers games on them, the Panthers played not 1 but 2 games. In fact, with 1 game, they had 16.
Oh my God,
skaters.
That's awful. I saw the Athletic about the Bruins, and then I saw it about the Devils. I didn't know that. That and the New Jersey third jerseys look like referees. You stupid man.
Wait, that's
the jersey?
The jersey. The jersey's fine, but the stripes on the shoulders and the arms, it makes you look like officials. It's so stupid.
So funny you said that, Seth, because I saw just the plain picture of the jersey, and I'm like, I like the concept of it. I don't know if I'd have gone black and white.
Right.
I don't know if I'd have gone black and white. It could have been better in the jersey colors of their actual team. Then my son, who's a diehard Red Wing fan, sent me a text
against Detroit.
you've got to watch this certain play. So I got up through the YouTube 10-minute, highlight reel on. And as I was watching that, I'm going, I should have never said anything about these because they're terrible. They don't look good on ice.
And
they
why
look
did
good,
you wear
they
them?
look good in a boardroom, Seth. This happens all the time in every sport. They show the GM, or the owner, they're in a boardroom, they're 4 feet away from them.
Yep.
And they go, that looks great. Those numbers are awesome. They don't ever put the guy at center ice and send you up to the owner's suite and say, look from there.
The idea, of wearing them is to sell jerseys on a Saturday night up against the National Football League where the Patriots are playing on a road game in Detroit. How many people do you think watched that hockey game? Yes, I was the sucker that watched it, but I'm not buying that stinking jersey. That jersey's ugly.
All right, Seth, in our remaining moments, Sports with Friends Hall of Justice text stream.
Tech stream is about the best tech holiday gifts if you're still looking for a gift, but it's not sponsored. So it was completely opinions, not, a company put us up to doing it. So it's really honest and open. Sports with Friends, we have Front Office Sports put together a list of the top sports companies to work for. Top 25, and we went through the list with the guys from Front Office Sports. And Hall of Justice, spoiler, it breaks down Spider-Man No Way Home. Next week on Sports with Friends, we're doing Two Jews Hanging on Christmas again, and we're going to do, that's 4 years in a row. And next week on Hall of Justice, we were going to skip it, but we're going to do Hawkeye, because the finale of Hawkeye just came out.
Seth, because this Christmas, my son won't be here. It'll be me and my daughter, my wife, my mother, and my mother-in-law. If I have this same crew next year, can it be 2 Jews and a goy on Christmas?
You want to come on? Yeah, sure.
I may want to.
Well, the story behind it, do you have 30 seconds?
Yes.
4 years ago, I was going to skip Christmas because the show came out on a Tuesday, and I got a call that said, we have commercials and you have to air them and you have to do a podcast. I called every Jewish person I knew. My friend Scott Seidenberg from NBC, he came on. Now he's with VSiN. And we did it, and I called it 2 Jews Hanging on Christmas Day, and it got our most downloads of that year. The next year, they did it again because we moved the show to Wednesdays. Now Sports with Friends comes out on Wednesdays, so Christmas came on a Wednesday again. We did it again. And so now it's a tradition. It's the 4th year running. We don't do Christmas Day because the podcast comes out later, but it's going to be 2 Jews Hanging on Christmas. And it's literally me and my friend Scott. We just go by like the year in review. It's very funny.
Is it from a Jewish perspective or?
Yeah, there's Hamantashen and matzah and the whole thing. Gefilte fish. Yeah, the whole podcast.
Got it.
From a Jewish perspective.
For those listening on radio,
I don't understand the power play.
The eye roll at the end of that was the best part of the explanation. It's why you need to be on Twitch. He did that whole every Jewish food answer and then gave a half-hearted eye roll, leaning away from the microphone. Well done, Seth.
Jewish.
I'm just impressed that in this day and age we can still do shows like this, to be honest with you. Seth, all the best.
Happy holidays to everyone who celebrates. Seriously.
Yes.
And after Christmas, come at 4:30 and hang with me on Twitch.
And thanks for being such a good friend and such a good friend to the show.
Happy Festivus, Seth.
Festivus for the rest of us.
Seth Everett, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, and Tech Stream. Follow him on Twitter at Seth_Everett. And one of the good things about watching this segment on Twitter is that Seth, much like young Felipe, who wears a sports-themed, usually Miami-themed hat or shirt, Seth always has athletic garb on. Today, it is a Syracuse Crunch jersey.
The AHL affiliate of the Lightning, for all of you Tampa people seeing those
Florida
lightning
network,
bolts on the
so
shoulders of the jersey.
Show some Florida love.
Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
It's been a great start to the NFL season, and it's only getting better at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. DraftKings is putting new customers in the center of the action with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And the best part is, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings app now and use code M&M. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code M&M, only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Oh, did you know? Press room pit reporter. Do you know the name Steve Richards?
I don't think so.
Let's see if you know about it. It looks like he did MRN. He did White House stuff.
Oh, killed in a car crash.
Yeah, pit reporter.
Yeah.
But he also obviously worked the White House and big MRN or from whatever
Dallas,
racing network.
I think also. I thought he worked.
Did he? I didn't.
Yeah. Car accident, right? Well, Vile, I don't know if you've been listening. Mark, how long did you wait for your car? Oh, I'm sorry. He's yet to get it. He gets it today, theoretically.
By the way, you got to look at this picture too. This. I saw this earlier today.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, who is this guy?
No idea.
I didn't know.
No idea. I think just.
And by the way, and I think Seal's there too, the singer, because there's a guy, the black dude in a white jacket. All you can see is the V. You see no head. You just see this long V and a bald head.
All right, Vile One. When did you buy your car?
Well, I haven't technically bought it, but you have to put a.
Because you see his question there.
Yeah, no. Vile One. I'm going through the same exact thing, and mine's in the States. I'm buying a Chevy Colorado. And I did the same thing. I paid the deposit, and it was supposed to be here on the 15th. And then it was supposed to be here yesterday. It's still not here. I asked the guy yesterday, is it going to be here for Christmas? He goes, I don't know. He's like, okay, so yeah, and I bought the Colorado over the Blazer for the exact reason you're talking about. Blazers are made in Mexico. Colorados are made in the States. So you are stuck with what's going on at port. It has nothing to do with the dealership. I can assure you of that.
What color?
Me, gray, silver. I'm pretty plain. I don't like red and black cars. The dealership, Yinzer. Sat down with my man Rick. 5th car I've bought from the guy. 5th vehicle, I should say.
Vile, I did a news package for one of my classes on the chip shortage that's going on with cars. I went to Summerlin Nissan. They said that they usually have like a little bit over 1,000 cars in their lot the whole time. They have like 80.
But it's not even just a chip shortage anymore. It's the transportation problem. There's not enough people to get the cars from where they're now being built. They just can't get them. Like my car was in Jacksonville for 5 days. Now it's in Tampa. And I can't go drive it. I mean, it's like
it's just one thing after another. It's a domino effect.
So what'd you order?
I don't want to say.
What'd you order?
What did you order?
I've never ordered breakfast there. I'm kind of curious what it is
I got
they
a
offer.
breakfast baconator with potatoes.
A breakfast baconator.
Yes.
So is that like bacon, egg, cheese?
Yes, bacon, egg, cheese, sausage.
Okay. So baconator. And what else?
And
yes.
the potato,
Good dude, Johnny Mac.
Potato skins as a side, and then a frosty Cheeto.
Okay.
Which I will be getting for both of you tomorrow.
No, actually.
No, it was merely ask. I would have.
I know.
I would have said, you know what? Get me a coffee. I would have been really pumped up to have another coffee because there's no coffee in the building because no one's working right now.
And I actually wouldn't have had anything, but it is drop dead funny. I mean, come on.
By the way,
you got to acknowledge.
Yeah.
By the way, Casio responded, and you're not even a millennial. Entitled millennial, entitled Gen Zer. Kids have no respect. Now, the best part of this he doesn't know is, want to hear something funny? He's working Christmas morning, airing the best of. Laugh that.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
The bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this hump day, the Wednesday before Christmas. Hope your week is going well, and thanks so much for being with us here on the Florida Sports Network. John Matisz of The Score to talk the NHL, the future of its 22 regular season, and the future of them in the Olympics. To be brutally honest, remember, they didn't play in the last two Olympics. Then they said, we're going to come back and try to play in 2022 and 2026. And now they just bailed on 2022. And there are many in NHL circles that are like, listen, why don't we just hold our own like World Cup? We did that once. It was well received. But why should they profit off of us? Why don't we just put all our best players against one another and have a World Cup right before the season? And we get to keep all the money. What do you say?
If done right, it would work.
Well, it was done right the first time. I mean, no one outside of the hockey world noticed and paid attention, but it was actually done pretty darn well.
No, I'm with you. Like I said, done right. We love the World Cup in soccer. I do think, you and I have always joked that hockey, like basketball, should be in the Summer Olympics.
Yeah. But you mentioned World Cup, by the way. Did you see the news yesterday that FIFA is proposing that the World Cup be every 2 years?
Right.
Well, that's a big change.
It's a huge change.
I mean, obviously it's a really big deal when something is held every 4 years. So the World Cup would become like the Ryder Cup.
Right.
They said it would add, and I don't know how many years, but they said it would add over $4 billion. I mean, come on, it's a money grab.
It's a total money grab. Right. I mean, they just had a money grab because they took it from 32 teams to 64 teams. I mean, they doubled the field, right?
Is it 64?
I thought that was the number.
Okay, I didn't know if it went to 48 or 64.
I thought it was 64,
but it was enlarged tremendously.
They basically already put a rule in to ensure that the USA team gets in every time.
Well, and also all the Europeans too, because they're all starting to knock each other out.
Right, Portugal and Italy are in that same knockoff match where one's not going to be in the World Cup.
Right.
Think about that.
Preposterous. It is.
Maybe they should add one little feature instead of adding. If they could have just done one thing, like the Masters. Past champions are automatic qualifiers.
Ooh, look at that. Wonder how many countries have won the World Cup. It's probably around 8, right?
I don't know off the top of my head.
World Cup?
But that would be a way to keep some of these European and South American nations always in.
Or do you do like they do in golf where you have an exemption, but it's not lifetime, but it's X number of years? Do they give you like
you could do that
in the last
2
20
decades?
years? Right. If you've won the World Cup in the last 20 years, you're automatically in. Then after that, your exemption runs out.
I just had a really good self-editing because I almost went way off, and you'd have jumped over and hit me if I'd have just said what came into my brain. During the commercial, I'll get there.
There's this plastic thing that's in between us. I think you're safe.
Our poll question up today is, do you think teams should be allowed to challenge anything at any time
in the NFL?
That's our poll question today. because, again, last night we had a non-pass interference call that very much helped determine the outcome of a game.
And it was an egregious miss, too. I mean, it's one of those in which everyone watching goes, oh, including officials go, oh, come on, that's pass interference, man. They missed that one. And when you really think about it, it's one guy. I mean, every section of the field, for the most, every now and then you've got, more than one official that is coming in on call. But a lot of times when they throw the ball downfield, you got one person that's going to make this call, yay or nay. And if they miss it, wow.
Well, whenever I read headlines in the morning and controversial is the first word in the title, I never think that that's a good problem that the NFL has. So we've had nonstop football. How many days in a row are we going to play football here?
Well,
throw the college bowl games in, we're going to have football every day now for about 16, 17 days.
Well, until January 4th, right? I don't believe there's a final, or actually January 3rd. There's not a final Monday night game,
there's not.
There? So we've got football through January 2nd. I don't think we have a bowl game on the 3rd. Maybe
we have one on the 4th, but not on the 3rd.
There you go. So 2 games Monday, 2 games Tuesday in the NFL, a breather today, and then Niners-Titans in a good Thursday nighter. Thank you very much in Nashville.
Our poll question, by the way, on being able to challenge any play, up to 68% saying yes. Numbers increasing.
But it's still basically 2-1. You thought it would be even higher. Are you surprised that there's a third of the football fans that are like, no, man, just whatever problems it has now, I don't want to go further?
I should have been a little smarter with this. No, I'm not surprised because we are incredibly resistant to any sort of change. This is change. And we don't like that. I mean, as simple as it was, David, you and I and our old producer way back when the draft was going to get moved to Thursday night.
Oh, that was the dumbest idea.
We thought that was just stupid.
Ridiculous.
I mean, we could not make fun of it.
No.
They're going to make this through. Who do they think they are 4 days for the draft?
Thursday night in prime time. Think enough people care about this.
And we talked about getting up early on Saturday and how much fun it was to watch that.
The full
and all that.
day and then just celebrate the day.
And the first round on Thursday nights is the most brilliant move the NFL's ever had. Non-football.
Yeah, we were a little off on that.
But it was change. And it bothered us because we really liked the way the draft was. Now, think about it. No one right now is out there clamoring how bad the NFL is. Even when calls are bad. The officiating sucked. You still like the NFL? I love the NFL. It's the old commentary about Congress.
Right.
Approval rate's 10%. How's your guy? He's great.
Yeah, my guy's fine.
Rest of them, terrible.
437 of them suck.
That's what this is. And I just don't see this groundswell of people upset with the sport. You have been claiming throughout the show that you think it could happen.
I do think that fans are annoyed by the officiating. I do. Now, it's not annoyed to the point where they've stopped watching. Okay, but I do think that it is taking away from their enjoyment of the product. I believe with more and more gambling that is going to take place in this country, that it is more imperative on leagues than ever before to get more calls right. And if I were involved in the NFL, the quality of the officiating would concern me. I think we need to do better. And if that means we give the eye in the sky official more authority, or whether we allow coaches to expand what it is they get to throw the red flag about. But I do think we need to take a further step. I'm surprised that I'm in the majority, to be honest with you, because people are so resistant to change. I am surprised. Early voting. I think that backs up my concerns, by the way. Don't you?
Yes. One of the things that I find interesting, to say the least, David, is the number of people via the text line, via the Twitch chat room, via Twitter, that tell me they don't even watch the NFL anymore. Okay. Are you sure about that, or is that just your go-to statement? Because the numbers keep going up. So that's where I am. It's like, well, I'm not watching anymore. Well, the numbers say differently.
Yeah, well.
So all this complaining that people have, the numbers don't agree with the complaining. That's all.
Yeah, you're one of the very few who left the league in the last 5 years and hasn't come back. And goodness knows you're entitled to, to what it is you want with your time.
Oh, yeah.
But you are one of the few. I mean, the outrage was real, and it did last 2 to 3 years. But now it is dissipated. For a lot of people, it was that way with baseball.
Right.
They were really honked off in 94 heading into 95. And then what happened? McGuire and Sosa in 98 brought what percentage would you say back of